Chapter 1678. You're sitting on me, old man 3. Then I'll have to thank Big Brother Xiao too. Fengde and the others were very cooperative. No big deal. Hee. The little white rabbit was a little unsteady from being held, and began to show off again. At this time, the Ning family elders who had gone to challenge the trial were all transported out of the trial space. They were not as lucky as the second elder, so they still could not pass the last round. However, when they saw the little white rabbit, they all looked at it hesitantly. They wanted to ask but were a little embarrassed to ask. The second elder did not return after he had passed the test. They reckoned that the news of the second elder's success had spread to the illusory sky. This made them somewhat depressed. They had originally thought that the second elder would pass on some of his experiences after he had passed the test, so as to increase their chances of success. However, the second elder did not return. The only person who knew how the second elder had passed the test was this rabbit, but they were not sure if the rabbit would tell them about this. That was why he was a little hesitant. That little rabbit. We want to ask you something. Finally, the seventh elder mustered up the courage to speak. What is it? You're welcome, speak. I promise to tell you everything I know, but I can't help you if I don't know anything. The little white rabbit replied readily. We want to ask about the second elder. How did he pass the last stage? After thinking for a while, the seventh elder asked in one go. This. I can tell you the truth, he completely relies on medicinal pills. However, the method he uses may not be suitable for you. So if you really want to imitate it, you may not necessarily succeed. But it's not like I don't have any confidence at all. The little white rabbit did not speak too confidently. In fact, it was thinking that it did not matter if it told them the second elder's method to clear the stage. This way they could buy more pills. As for whether they would have the same good luck as the second elder, that was not for it to decide. After it finished speaking, the white rabbit even secretly winked at Fengde and the others, and showed a sly smile. Fengde and the others immediately understood, and gave it a look of appreciation without batting an eyelid. Everyone understood what it meant. After the seventh elder and the others heard the white rabbit's words, they pondered for a moment because they didn't know whether they should believe this little rabbit or not. This was mainly because no one had expected that it would actually attribute the credit of the second elder's success to the elixir. In this case, wouldn't they have to continue to buy elixir from Fengde and the others? They had already signed so many IOUs that they were almost unable to pay it back. I've already told you the method that the old man used to pass the trial. As for whether you believe it or not, that's not for me to decide. The little white rabbit saw the expressions on the faces of the elders and knew what was going on. However, it was still a little angry. These damn old men, they didn't want to believe it even after asking. This was too much. It seemed that one could not be too kind. Good intentions don't get rewarded. After saying that, the little white rabbit disappeared on the spot in a huff. After it left, the elders suddenly woke up. It seemed that their reaction had angered the rabbit. Ai, what was this good? The rabbit wouldn't make things difficult for them, would it? At this moment, they were a little regretful. At this moment, Fengde spoke with a smile. Elders, due to the fact that there aren't many pills left, we've decided to increase the price after some discussion. Fengde said. What? Raise the price? All the elders were dumbfounded. Why did these people want to raise the price of medicinal pills when that little rabbit had just said that the second elder's success in clearing the stage was mainly dependent on medicinal pills? This was clearly the behavior of a profiteer. This was the starting price. How much do you want to raise the price of the pills? The seventh elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and asked speechlessly. He thought to himself, that was really close. Fortunately, he had bought a lot last time. Otherwise, he would have been ripped off again. Not expensive. It's only 100 top-grade crystals per bottle. Fengde laughed. Fuck. It had doubled, and that was not expensive? When the elders heard this price, their faces turned pale with anger. They kept cursing in their hearts. Unscrupulous merchant. Black-hearted businessman. A bad guy who took advantage of others. Do you guys want to buy it? Fengde ignored the ugly expressions of the elders and asked with a faint smile. We don't have any more money. The seventh elder spoke on behalf of the other elders. You guys didn't have any money before. Fonda reminded. We can't afford to write an IOU. The seventh elder sighed. Then there's no other way. You can only stay here and accompany the little rabbit. I believe that with so many people accompanying it, it will be very happy. Fonda said helplessly. If they didn't want to buy it, they couldn't force it. But if you don't buy it now, the price will increase in the future. Fonda added after some thought. This time, the elders were completely depressed. So this was forcing them to buy. How detestable. He actually threatened them with a price increase. Thanks, things are precious when they are rare. The price of goods will always rise due to the scarcity of goods. Seeing the expressions of the elders, Fonda said without blushing or panting. Fonda, didn't you say that we're your big customers? Since he's a big customer, there should be a discount or something, right? The seventh elder said with a kind smile. There should be a discount. If each of you can buy more than 200 bottles, I'll make the decision to give you an extra bottle. Fonda put on a troubled look. 200 bottles for one extra bottle. What was the difference between that and not giving anything? An elder couldn't help but think to himself. However, he didn't dare to say this out loud. Otherwise, if he offended Fonda and the others, he would raise the price again. It wouldn't be worth it. Fonda's words made all the elders feel conflicted until Fonda became a little impatient. He couldn't help but urge. It's a limited time purchase. Buy for 200, get one free bottle. There are limited free gifts, first come, first served. Fonda, there's a limit to the number of gifts? After hearing Fonda's shout, the seventh elder asked in disbelief, fuck. He even wanted to curse. These people were really good at doing business. They could even think of such a bad move. No wonder they were so good at making money. Sigh. Why didn't their Ning family have someone who was so good at making money? It was undeniable that he was very jealous of Lung Ruoxua at this moment. Of course I do. First come, first served. 200 for one bottle, and so on. Fonda said loudly. Fonda, couldn't the price of the pills be cheaper? If it's the same as before, well, buy more. The seventh elder discussed with him. Seventh elder, we also need to eat. Besides, didn't I already give you guys a discount? Don't be too greedy. Fonda said with dissatisfaction. AI. The seventh elder knew that the deal was off. He sighed and didn't say anything else. He had enough pills in his hands anyway. As for whether the other elders would buy it or not, it wasn't up to him. The seventh elder didn't say anything, and no elder said anything. Fonda saw this and said, you guys didn't buy it. Don't regret it. After he finished speaking, Fonda sat back in his seat without a care, and closed his eyes to regulate his breathing. After the white rabbit returned to its control room, it turned the screen to where the second elder was. At this moment, the second elder was in an unfamiliar space. This space had beautiful scenery, birds chirping, flowers blooming, and fresh air. It was simply a paradise. The second elder couldn't believe his eyes after seeing the scenery. How could there be such a beautiful place in the world? Not far away from him, there was a clear stream with a few small fish swimming around happily. When they saw someone approaching, they did not panic. They raised their small heads in the water to look at the second elder, then sank back into the stream. The second elder was surprised. He had never seen such a spiritual fish. However, what was with the disdain in the fish's eyes? Were the fish in the stream looking down on him? This fact hit him hard. Fuck. He was a reverent god after all. Now he had actually fallen to the point of being despised by the fish. How could he bear this? After remorseful thoughts, the second elder was puzzled about this place. Where was this place? Was he also under the jurisdiction of that little rabbit? Just as he was thinking about this, the white rabbit's voice suddenly rang out in the space. Old man, this place is not bad, right? You can have fun here. After saying that, the white rabbit's signature wretched laughter rang in the second elder's ears again. Hee hee. Roar. What is this place? The second elder suppressed his anger and asked. This rabbit had brought him here, so it was definitely up to no good. Furthermore, after interacting with Lung Ruoxua and the others for a long time, his sense of crisis had grown stronger. Hence, his intuition told him that this place was not as simple as it seemed. Do you want to know? I'm not telling you. The little white rabbit said angrily. The second elder was so angry that he couldn't speak. The anger in his heart was stuck in his chest, making him unable to vent it. Old man, you can explore slowly. After the white rabbit finished speaking, its voice disappeared. Damn it. Don't go. Come back here. Seeing this, the second elder hurriedly shouted to stop the rabbit, but he did not receive any response. The depressed second elder sat down on a rock not far away. Suddenly, a rough voice rang in his ear. Old man, you're sitting on me. Chapter 1679. Old man, have you seen enough? 1. The second elder was shocked when he heard the voice. Who was speaking? It wasn't that he was timid, but his intuition told him that this place was very strange, so he had to be careful. In addition, he only heard sounds but didn't see anyone, which made him vigilant. Old man, you're sitting on me. Your butt is so stinky. Seeing that the second elder didn't react at all, the owner of the voice couldn't help but ask, who's talking? The second elder asked the question in his heart, and at the same time, he was on full alert. Old man, are you an idiot? I already said you're sitting on me, and you still ask who's talking. The owner of the voice roared in anger, and his body was trembling with anger. He didn't expect that the first person to enter this place was actually a low IQ idiot. He was really disappointed. Feeling the trembling under his butt, the second elder subconsciously lowered his head. Then he suddenly jumped up in shock. He looked at the big rock he had been sitting on in disbelief and said in a half-believing and half-doubting tone, Are you the one talking? Nonsense. Who else could it be if not me? At this moment, the large rock spoke again. A face with all facial features could be seen on the rock, and it was filled with dissatisfaction. It's really you. The second elder was extremely surprised. As a cultivator, he naturally knew that any living creature in the natural world, whether it was a human or a beast, a flower, a tree, a mountain rock, or anything else, could cultivate as long as they had spirituality. However, for these large rocks with weak vitality, it was extremely difficult to cultivate spirituality and even transform into a human form. However, he did not expect to see a large rock with a spirit in this strange place. This was really too surprising. Didn't I tell you? Don't tell me that not only do you have low IQ, but you also have problems with your hearing? Big Rock asked with a look of disdain. The second elder couldn't help but wipe the cold sweat from his forehead. He felt even more depressed in his heart. Why did everything here look down on him? He was a reverent god after all, so how could he not be in their eyes? He didn't dare to ask them to respect him, but it was still okay for them to show him some respect, right? What's with the If you say, I'll throw you into the river to feed the fish. Big Rock said unhappily. Feed the fish in the river? The second elder looked gloomily at the small stream that was not even up to his calf. He thought to himself, could this stone be referring to this small stream when it said in the river? Although the fish there were also looking down on him, could a fish smaller than his palm eat him? He would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. What's wrong? You don't believe me? Big Rock, who could tell what the second elder was thinking, asked indifferently, the river you were talking about, do you mean that stream? The second elder asked curiously. Of course. Don't look down on the fish there, you'll regret it if you underestimate them. If you don't believe me, go ahead and try. Big Rock gloated, as if he had already seen second elder's misfortune. The second elder was very anxious after hearing Big Rock's words. However, whether he believed it or not, he couldn't give it a try. Old man, I knew you were a coward. Seeing that the second elder had stopped talking, the Big Rock began to provoke him again. I know if I have the guts or not. I don't need to rely on this kind of thing to prove it. The second elder was speechless. He was extremely depressed in his heart. Why did everyone say that he was a coward? That rabbit was like this, and now the stone was also like this. However, just as he finished speaking, another unfamiliar voice was heard. Humph. If he didn't dare, he didn't dare. Don't find excuses for yourself. It was the same disdainful tone. Thanks. After the second elder heard this, he raised his eyes and looked around for the owner of the voice, especially those stones and trees. However, after searching one round, he found nothing. Old man, what are you looking for? The rock in front of the second elder asked curiously. I'm looking for the person who said that. The second elder replied honestly. Idiot. The person who spoke is in the river. Big Rock threw him a disdainful look. The river. The second elder looked at the river in the big stone's eyes, and the stream in his eyes. He saw a pure white fish the size of a palm, half standing on the shore with its fins. Its small mouth was still opening and closing, and its watery black eyes were looking at him mockingly. The second elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead, his heart filled with mixed feelings. He could see that all the creatures here were at odds with him, and they all looked down on him. He couldn't understand why. Logically speaking, he shouldn't have offended these guys, right? He wasn't like the 19th elder who made enemies everywhere, so he couldn't figure out why no matter how hard he thought. Old man, are you done looking? If you look at me like this again, I'm going to charge you. The moment the fish opened its mouth, it mentioned money, causing the second elder's mood to instantly turn sour, from depression to irritation. Frustration. He was quite frustrated, so frustrated that he wanted to bite someone. However, in this strange place, he had to endure it no matter how annoyed he was. You're just a fish. What's the use of money? The second elder's face was red as he asked speechlessly. This was not normal. Everything here was abnormal. Why is it useless? With money you can buy a lot of good food. The fish said with a look of yearning. What can you eat? The second elder couldn't help but ask. In his opinion, fish could only eat fish food and aquatic grass, and these didn't need to be paid at all. I can eat anything. Besides, can't I save up some money? The fish said as if it was looking at an idiot. As private money? The second elder was dumbfounded when he heard the fish's words. This was the first time he had heard that a fish wanted to save up money. Did it have a place to spend it? Old man, you've been looking at me for so long, quickly pay. Seeing that the second elder was still staring at it, Xiaoyu's lips curled into a smirk. Only then did the second elder react. Because he had been too shocked, his eyes had never left the fish. Now it was asking him for money. What the hell is this? What's with the If you do, I'll throw you into the river as food. Yu said in an unpleasant tone. Hearing the familiar words in the same tone, the second elder was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. As expected of a family, they all spoke in the same tone. Hee. Old man, you've sat on me for so long, just now you have to pay me. Otherwise, I'll file a complaint against you. At this moment, the big rock spoke again. The second elder was furious when he saw that they were all demanding a debt from him. I've sat on you for a while, and you want money? Now that he was standing on this piece of land, did he have to pay for it? He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Chapter 1680. Old man, have you seen enough? 2. Old man, you have to pay me. Another unfamiliar voice rang out. The second elder turned pale with fright. Who's talking now? Old man. It's me. The ground you're stepping on. The owner of the voice was afraid that the second elder would look around again, so he simply pointed out his identity. You know what I'm thinking? The second elder stammered as he spoke. What kind of monsters were there? Just as he was thinking this, he immediately stopped. He didn't dare to continue thinking, in case someone peeked at his thoughts. I am the master of this space. Any living creature that stays on my body, no matter what, can't hide their thoughts from me. Black Earth said with a proud expression. The second elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead when he heard the Earth God's words. He didn't dare to have any thoughts in his heart. Old man, pay us the money you owe us first. The Earth God said with a smile. I don't have any money on me right now. The second elder's face was bitter as he spoke with some difficulty. His money had all been used to buy medicinal pills, and he was in a huge debt. It doesn't matter. You can also write us an IOU. The Earth said disapprovingly. Big Rock and the fish didn't doubt its words at all. Obviously, the Earth in this space was their boss. An IOU. Another IOU. This was really infuriating. Why did they all know this move? His hands were a little weak from writing IOUs, and now he had to write IOUs for these elves. Damn it, what was this? I don't have a pen and paper. The second elder said after a long while. It doesn't matter, we have it. The earth god chuckled. Then, a white light flashed before the second elder's eyes, and a piece of paper and a pen appeared in front of him. The second elder wanted to cry, but had no tears. He held the pen and paper and did not move. Stinky old man. What are you thinking? The fish was getting impatient as it roared. I wonder how much I should pay you? The second elder asked in a low voice. He had no choice but to lower his head. Although he really wanted to write down a number, he was afraid that these guys would not be satisfied. He didn't dare to offend these local tyrants. I want 100 pieces of top-grade crystal stones. Big Rock was the first to speak. What? I just sat on you and you want to charge 100 top-grade crystals? Are you trying to rob me? The second elder was left speechless. These guys were clearly taking advantage of him. Although he had no choice but to compromise, he was not willing to be a spendthrift. I'm not an ordinary big rock, so it's naturally expensive for you to sit on me. Not only that, if you want to sit on me in the future, you'll have to pay again, and the price will be double. This time, I'm charging less because you didn't know about it. Big Rock explained. The face on the rock was smiling so widely that it looked like a flower. We're the same. The fish agreed. Not bad. I won't ask you for more this time. The earth god also said. After hearing their words, the second elder really wanted to hit himself with a piece of tofu. He didn't know what to say now. At most, he wouldn't sit or look at that stone and fish, but if this land just stood there and asked him for money, he would probably have to bear a huge debt before he could even get out. Moreover, he didn't know when he would be able to get out. These guys were really hateful. Thanks. After hearing the second elder's thoughts, the black soil man was in a good mood and laughed. Old man, don't be afraid. My charges are very fair. There are 3 types of monthly, yearly, or daily payments. Yearly or monthly payments are much cheaper than daily payments. Which one do you choose? I don't want to choose any of them. The second elder wailed miserably. This was the first time he had heard of the so-called year and month contracts, and this kind of idea actually came from a piece of land. Old man, you can't not choose any of them. Black Soil Land said with a smile. The second elder was shocked. He had forgotten that this piece of land would know what he was thinking. This was a big embarrassment. That. I want to know how to do a monthly and a yen contract? The second elder asked carefully. It's a year's holiday. ITLL cost you 10,000 top-grade crystals a year. At that time, you can sit on any of the stones I have on me. They won't charge you extra. Also, you can also enjoy the fish in this river as you wish. It's all free. I'll charge you 3,000 top-quality crystals a month. If you want to rest on the rock or relax by watching the fish here, you'll have to pay extra. To put it bluntly, except for you who can stand on my body, you'll have to pay for everything else. As for booking the day, it was 200 top-grade crystals a day. Old man, this is much more expensive than a month or a year. I believe you will know how to make the best choice. After Black Soil Land explained, he gave the second elder another round of high praise. What if I leave this place in less than a year? Can I return the money? The second elder thought for a moment and asked. Of course not. We don't give refunds. Black Soil Land said with certainty. If you're afraid of wasting money, you can pay me monthly. Black Soil Land suggested. I'll book the whole year. The second elder sighed and said helplessly. He didn't know how long it would take for him to get out of here, but it was obviously more worthwhile to do it for a year than a month. Old man, I told you that you're a smart man and know what's the best choice. The black soil ground said happily. It didn't expect its first business to be a great success. It was really happy. Then the pen and paper floated in front of the second elder. The second elder smiled bitterly and obediently wrote down another IOU. Old man, do as you wish. You can go anywhere you want here, don't worry. No one will collect money from you anymore. The black soil ground promised in a friendly manner. The second elder nodded. He had already signed an IOU. If he still couldn't go anywhere, wouldn't he be depressed to death? However, he didn't dare to sit on the talking stone anymore. He looked around and then sat down on a relatively wide piece of land. Art, how dare you? He actually sat on our boss body. Seeing the second elder sit down, the big rock said with a surprised look. I've already paid. The second elder gritted his teeth. Did they think he wanted to sit here? It was all because he didn't want to sit on the face of that stone. Otherwise he would feel weird. So what if I paid? Get up quickly and don't sit on my boss. Otherwise, I won't let you off. The big rock said angrily. This made it even angrier than the old man sitting on its body. Then where should I sit? The second elder asked dumbly. This annoying stone really liked to meddle in other people's business. The black soil under his feet didn't even have any objections, but he was the first to object. Chapter 1681. Old man, have you seen enough? 3. Sit on me. Big Rock said after some thought. All right then. The second elder was helpless. He stood up and sat on the big stone that could speak. However, as soon as he sat down, the big rock started to shout. "Io! Why is your butt so smelly? I'm dying from the smell. Quickly go wash up in the river. You!" Big Rock's words made the second elder so angry that he stood up from the rock with a bang. He cursed in his heart. Fuck. How was his butt smelly? It was clearly this big rock that didn't want him to sit on it, so it deliberately slandered him. This was preposterous. The second elder was furious. What about me? Go and wash yourself in the river, or else you're not allowed to sit on me. Big Rock said stubbornly. Don't come to my river to wash your smelly ass, or I'll bite you. When the fish on the shore heard this, it immediately shouted anxiously, and even deliberately bared its teeth. Coming to its house to wash your ass would pollute the water in its house. When second elder saw that one of them didn't allow him to sit, and the other didn't allow him to wash, and the reason was that they thought he was smelly, he was so angry. Fuck. Have you ever seen such a thing? They didn't even have a place to stand after paying. With a heavy heart, the second elder walked to the side of a huge artificial mountain, and leaned against it. Since she despised him, he should stay away from her, right? Big Rock and Yu saw that the second elder seemed to be really angry, and they couldn't help but look at each other and smile. Then, Yu jumped onto Big Rock's body and bounced to the front of the second elder. Seeing this, the second elder was furious. Fuck. If you don't like me, why are you still coming to my side? Did she think that he was easy to bully? He really wanted to kick them away when he saw the two hateful faces, but he didn't dare to do so here, in case it caused him unnecessary trouble. Old man, you're the first human to come here, so let's have a good chat about the outside world. Big Rock said shamelessly, not feeling the disdain he had for second elder at all. The second elder glanced at them but did not speak. Old man, don't be so stingy. The fish said. The second elder simply turned his head and did not look at them. Bang! With a crisp sound, a ray of white light hit the second elder's face. The second elder, who was not prepared in the slightest, was hit. Damn it. You sneak attacked me? The second elder glared at the culprit who had just hit him, the white fish. At this moment, the fish was staring at him with its watery black eyes and an innocent face. The thing that had attacked him was a jet of water that had come out of the fish's mouth. I just want you to turn around. The fish said innocently, but in its heart, it was laughing. Now the old man's face was wounded, and the position of the wound was excellent, just right on his eye. At this time, one of the second elder's eyes was normal, while the other had been beaten blue, becoming a one-eyed dragon. The fish was very happy with its masterpiece. I don't want to talk to you. You guys get lost. The second elder said angrily. At this moment, the second elder had completely lost his demeanor. If he continued to be provoked like this, he would definitely go crazy. Therefore, he was really annoyed to death by the two guys in front of him. Old man. In the next year, we'll be neighbors, so we'll live in peace. Don't be like this. You persuaded him earnestly. I don't want to be your neighbor. The second elder said through gritted teeth. If he were to become their neighbor, his life would definitely be shortened. Hee. Old man. This is not up to you. Big Rock laughed. The second elder was speechless at the words of these two buffoons. He really didn't know how to communicate with the beast race. Moreover, these two guys weren't ordinary beast race. They could anger people to death. On this side, the second elder was fuming with anger. The seventh elder and the others who had been constantly challenging the trials in the trial space were also not having a good time. Ever since they complained that Fengda and the others were raising the price on their own, Fengda and the others did not give them any face. Moreover, as the number of failures in the last round increased, the medicinal pills in their hands became more and more difficult to make ends meet. Seeing the number of medicinal pills decreasing day by day, some of the elders began to feel anxious. Fengda, how did you guys do in the last stage? In the dusky space, the seventh elder, who had a heavy responsibility, asked. It's all right. We'll be able to clear it after a few more times. Fengda, who was sitting in the corner, raised his head and said with a smile that was not a smile. Then congratulations. The seventh elder said with a smile. Seventh elder, it's not too late for you to congratulate us after we've passed the last stage. It's a little too early to say that now. Fengda reminded him with a smile. Thanks, not early. It's not early. I'm just afraid that you'll be immediately expelled after passing the last level, so I'm telling you in advance. The seventh elder explained with a smile. Oh, Fengda responded softly, and didn't have any other reaction. Fengda, can you sell us some of the pills you have? Seeing Fengda's cold reaction, the seventh elder was embarrassed. However, he had to ask. After all, he had been asked by many elders to come here. I can sell it to you, but the price. Fengda did not finish his sentence, but his meaning was clear. If the price could not be agreed upon, then there was no need to negotiate. The price will be as you say. The seventh elder quickly said. Since the matter had already reached this point, there was no point in discussing the price, because he knew that Fengda and the others would not sell it to them at a low price. Moreover, they had a request this time, so they naturally did not dare to bargain. That's good. Since you're our big customers, I'll sell you 200 top-grade crystals for each bottle. Fengda said with a smile. 200? When the elders heard this price, they couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. One bottle cost 200 top-grade crystals. This was really not just ordinarily expensive. After all, those were just some ordinary pills for healing and replenishing Shen power. This was already considered a sky-high price. Fengda looked around and took in the expressions of all the elders. He sneered in his heart. That's right. He wanted to brazenly slaughter these fat elders, and they had no choice but to buy it. The elders were silent for a long time. Finally, it was the seventh elder who took the lead and said, I'll take 200 bottles. No problem. Fengda took out a piece of paper and a pen, and handed it to the seventh elder. The seventh elder wrote down an IOU, which was equivalent to a slave contract with tears in his eyes. In fact, he still had enough pills in his hands. He was just worried that there would be an awkward silence if no elders were willing to buy them, so he led the way. However, after this incident, he had also decided to ignore these elders' affairs in the future. When they asked him for help, he also asked on their behalf. In the end, no one said they wanted to buy it. Wasn't this a slap to his face? Fengda kept the IOU and handed the 201 bottles of pills to the seventh elder. He then explained. Second elder. This extra bottle is my personal gift to you. As for the discount we talked about last time, it's been cancelled because of that. Oh, thanks a lot. The second elder said gratefully, but he couldn't help sighing in his heart. Look at how good he is. Although he didn't have this idea because of a bottle of pills, compared to the Ning family's old gu who only thought about their own interests, the words and actions of others really made people feel comfortable. Even if they were being slaughtered, they would be slaughtered as if it was a matter of course. AI. This was the difference between people. Seventh elder. You don't have to be so polite. This is purely for the sake of our personal friendship. Fengda laughed. I understand. I understand. The seventh elder was very happy. After keeping the elixir, he didn't even look at the other elders, and went to the side to rest. In a while he would prepare to continue challenging the levels. You guys aren't buying? What's the matter? Fengda asked as he shifted his gaze to the other elders. I'll buy it. An elder shouted. If you can buy it, come over and write an IOU, then we'll trade. The time limit is half an hour. We won't wait for you if you're late. Besides, this is the last time we're selling pills here, Fengda reminded. After hearing Feng Die's words, many of the elders wavered. After all, he had said that this was the last time he would sell the elixir. If they still didn't buy it this time, they might not be able to buy it in the future. Therefore, as soon as Fengda finished speaking, the elders came one after another. Half an hour later, all of the elders had bought what they thought was enough. Although the price was so painful that they were about to vomit blood, it was still worth it compared to being trapped here. With enough elixirs in their hands, the elders continued to attempt the last level. Not long after they entered the trial space, Fengda and the others also got ready and went into the trial space. 3 months later, the White Rabbit's voice finally rang out again. This time, it was naturally here to deliver good news. The 7th elder has also successfully passed the last stage. Good luck, you guys. After the White Rabbit finished speaking, it disappeared again. From then on, whenever someone passed the last level, the White Rabbit would appear and inform them. Another 3 months passed, and the White Rabbit appeared more and more frequently. Naturally, it came to report the good news. During this period, Fengda Linyuan, Leng Qingtian, Leng Ruhan, Chengxian, and the rest had all passed the last level. The number of people left in the trial space had also decreased. Moreover, after they successfully passed the trial, they were all transported to another beautiful and mysterious space without exception. In the other space, the 2nd elder would be extremely excited whenever he saw familiar faces. However, his heart would be filled with depression immediately after that. He could see them, but he could not talk to them, as if there was a layer of barrier between them. Chapter 1682. The Dream Mirror. 1. Every time the 2nd elder wanted to call out to them, the other party did not respond at all. However, he could clearly see the other party's every move. This fact made him extremely angry. Fuck. What was going on? The 2nd elder was burning with anger. He was extremely angry. Of course, he didn't think that the other party was deliberately ignoring him. The only truth was that there was something strange here. The reason why they didn't know each other was because someone had done something to them. The first suspect was naturally the creature inside, and the detestable little rabbit. Old man, don't worry. When you're all here, you'll naturally have the opportunity to meet. The fish consoled the 2nd elder after seeing through his thoughts. At this time, it used its fins to support its body as usual, half standing on the shore, occasionally teasing the depressed 2nd elder. Why? The fish's words left the 2nd elder puzzled. Hee. Naturally, it's because you don't have enough people. The fish laughed evilly. In fact, the real reason was that they wanted to earn more money. Therefore, they deliberately separated them. Moreover, whatever happened to 2nd elder would also happen to others. Of course, Fengda and the others were the exception. After all, they were on the same side and could not be charged. Is that really the case? The 2nd elder's face was filled with suspicion. To be honest, he didn't dare to believe this fish's words. Moreover, although he could see the 7th elder and the others, he could not hear what they were saying. However, he could guess from their expressions that they had most likely encountered the same problem as him. Yes. The fish nodded its little head hard and thought to itself, even if it's not like that, you have to believe it. You have no way to prove it anyway, so it's not afraid. Did you guys take their money too? The 2nd elder asked directly. This question had been in his mind for a long time, and he had always wanted to ask. That's a must. You have to pay to come to our place. We can't let you see or sit for free, so it's natural to pay. The fish said disapprovingly. Hearing the tone of the fish's voice and its matter-of-fact expression, the 2nd elder was dumbfounded and speechless. All the living creatures here had the same character, including the trees, flowers, and so on that he had just gotten to know. All of them asked for money. After understanding this fact, he was extremely glad that he had booked the whole year. Otherwise, just the money he paid them would probably be a large sum of money. Sop. These vampires. He was really into money. He was really curious. What did these guys want money for? Could it be that they could leave this place, so they really wanted to save some money? Old man, I'll eat you if you say again. When the fish heard this again, it said in an extremely displeased manner. It couldn't help but feel disgusted in its heart. He couldn't even speak properly, so why did he have to keep hiccuping? The second elder didn't expect that the fish would threaten to eat him again. After letting out a sound, he quickly closed his mouth and looked at the fish carefully. He felt so wronged in his heart. Woo! This fish is really hateful. He always liked to threaten himself. Although he was a little curious about whether this fish could eat him, he had to be careful in this strange place. Otherwise, if he was really eaten by a fish, he would regret his wise life. Old man, I especially don't like this, so, don't talk about it in the future. The fish roared angrily. Then it continued. However, I'll forgive you this time. If there's a next time, I'll just eat you. Yes. I got it. The second elder was full of grievances, but he had no choice but to agree. Thanks, good girl. As long as you're obedient, I'll treat you well. When Yu saw the second elder's cautious appearance, there was no need to mention how satisfied she was in her heart. So what if he was a reverent god? In this place, they had to be obedient. Now making the second elder listen to him had already become something that gave him a special sense of accomplishment. Hee. The second elder nodded, but he was extremely depressed. He was really being bullied by the fish. The fact that a palm-sized fish had bullied a divine lord made him extremely frustrated. More importantly, he couldn't do anything to the fish. If he was outside, he would have caught this fish and steamed it. In fact, he was not the only one who felt this way. The elders who were isolated in the other space also felt the same way. They had thought that they would be able to leave this place after passing through the 10 stages of the second realm of the illusory sky. Who knew that they would be sent to this place that looked like a paradise, but was actually filled with evil demons. Every grass, tree, mountain, stone, and small beast here had intelligence. Not only could they speak, but they only recognized money and not people. No matter what they did, money was the top priority. Therefore, although they arrived at different times, the number of IOUs they had increased. This was a fact. They were so depressed that they almost vomited blood. More importantly, they didn't know how long they would have to stay here, nor did they know where they were. The spiritual creatures that accompanied them every day often angered and threatened them. They were sighing in this beautiful space, but those who were still in the trial space didn't feel good. As the number of people who had passed the last level increased, the number of people who remained in the dusky space also decreased. Thus, among those who remained, those who had slightly weaker mental fortitude became restless, and the pressure on them also increased. However, the 19th elder was the most depressed one. Not only did he not have any close progress in the last stage, but he also had to bear the double mental and physical torture of the white rabbit every day. In addition, he knew that most of the Ning family elders had left, so he was also unusually annoyed. As for Lung Ruoxua and the demon, they had already left the illusory heaven. They stayed in their bracelets every day, watching every move in the illusory heaven through the light screen. They were in a rather pleasant mood. In the bracelet, Lung Ruoxua and the evildoer sat in the garden. Their eyes were smiling as they looked at the elders who were sighing with a face full of worry. Their hearts were already rolling with laughter. Chue, are these little things really created by the illusion? The demon asked curiously. The images of those little things were too realistic. In his opinion, they were no different from real existences. Yup. This is not an ordinary illusion. Everything in that space is real. Otherwise, I'm afraid the second elder and the others would not be so depressed. Lung Ruoxua laughed. Chue. The second elder and the others must be depressed. They thought that they would be able to come out after passing the last stage of the trial space, but who knew that they would be sent into the illusion again? More importantly, they still don't know that it's an illusion. The demon said with a face full of sympathy. If he was one of those people, he would probably be depressed as well. Chapter 1683. The Dream Mirror 2. The training space and this illusion are originally one, although one is a 2-layer domain and the other is a 3-layer domain, but they can't be completely separated, otherwise, the training space would be incomplete. Lung Ruoxua explained with a smile. Shui, when do you plan to start the illusion? The demon nodded and couldn't help but ask. Haha. When they are all here, the illusionary realm will naturally open. Lung Ruoxua said with an evil smile. Would they be able to do it together? Isn't 19th Elder still in the hands of that little rabbit? The demon said, a little speechless. Don't count him in. Lung Ruoxua said softly. Oh, right now there are still 10 people in the training space. If they stay in the last stage for another half a year, I'm afraid 2nd Elder will have to pay for another year. The demon gloated. He couldn't help but laugh at the thought of this. If they don't stay for half a year, they should be able to pass the last level. Lung Ruoxua said in understanding. Now, she would pay attention to the progress of those who were still in the trial space every day. Hence, she was very clear that they would be able to pass the last level very soon. Just as she had expected, in less than 2 months, the last 10 people had successfully passed the last level. However, before they could celebrate, they were immediately transported to the space where the 2nd Elder and the others were. When they reached there, they could feel the same treatment that the 2nd Elder and the others had received. However, compared to the people who had arrived before them, they were even more depressed. This was because their trial space had been too difficult. They had thought that they could finally leave, but who knew that they would end up in another place? On a certain day, just as the 2nd Elder and the others were doing nothing and staring at the sky in a daze as they did every day, they suddenly felt the space around them shake. Then they finally saw each other. 2nd Elder. The 7th Elder shouted excitedly after seeing the 2nd Elder. 7th brother. I didn't expect to see you in person. The 2nd Elder's eyes were filled with tears as he spoke emotionally. Before they met, he was afraid that he would never have the chance to see them again. Although he knew that his worries were groundless, he couldn't help but think so. Now that they could finally meet, he was extremely excited. 2nd Elder. It's so good to see you. After hearing the 2nd Elder's sorrowful words, the 7th Elder also felt sad. I say, aren't you two old men jealous? It's just that we haven't seen each other for a while. Is there a need for you to put on such an appearance? The fish on the shore, who had been observing for a long time, said with a look of disdain, that we haven't seen each other for too long. The 2nd Elder's face was slightly red as he explained in embarrassment. How is it long? The fish asked. You don't understand our relationship. The 7th Elder also interjected. All right. I don't understand. Could it be that a day apart feels like 3 years to you? Yu's black eyes were wide open, and his face was filled with curiosity. Little Yor. You can't just use words like that. When the 2nd Elder heard what the fish said, a few black lines immediately slid down his forehead. What the hell was this? Thanks, I didn't use it. Don't think that I don't understand what you're trying to say just because I'm a fish. Let me tell you, I know everything. The fish roared, and a pink flash appeared on its palm-sized pure white body, indicating that it was about to get angry. But we really didn't do what you said. The 7th Elder couldn't help but shiver. He said with some disgust. This fish's thoughts were really too complicated. Don't guess what the fish is thinking. Really? Why doesn't it look like it? Big Rock. Don't you think they're the kind of people who feel like 3 years have passed when we don't see each other for a day? The fish didn't believe the words of the 2 elders in front of it, and directly asked Big Rock, who it trusted more. Xiaoyu is right. I think they are that kind of people too. Big Rock said with certainty. I knew it. How could I be wrong? The fish felt more and more pleased with itself. The 2nd Elder and the 7th Elder listened to their conversation and their attitude towards their relationship. After looking at each other, they were both speechless. They finally realized that no matter how they tried to explain, it would be useless. This was because the fish and the rock had already determined that their relationship was not simple. They should just keep their mouths shut. At this moment, the 11th Elder walked over and greeted them warmly. 2nd Elder, 7th Elder. I've missed you guys so much. 2nd Elder and 7th Elder didn't dare to respond to 11th Elder's words. Both of them kept winking at him, hoping that he would shut his mouth and not talk nonsense. However, 11th Elder, who who was too excited, didn't understand their intentions. Seeing that the two of them were ignoring him, the 11th elder said with an aggrieved expression, "What's wrong? You don't like to see me? Of course they don't like to see you, you third party. Don't get between them. Otherwise I won't let you off." The 2nd elder and the 7th elder didn't even have time to speak before the fish spoke. As soon as it finished speaking, the 11th elder was already dumbfounded. Fuck. What did he just hear? Third party? He didn't hear wrong, did he? How did he become a mistress? Moreover, it was between the 2nd elder and the 7th elder. What he couldn't accept even more was that these words came from the mouth of a fish. In an instant, the 11th elder was on the verge of exploding in anger. However, he immediately realized that this was not normal, so he had no choice but to suppress it. As for 2nd elder and 7th elder, as they listened to the fish's words, more and more black lines appeared on their foreheads, and even their faces turned dark. They knew that they would not hear anything good from this fish. They were clearly very pure family, but in this fish's mouth, it became ambiguous. What was this? Although they were so depressed that they wanted to vomit blood, none of them dared to say anything at this moment. Otherwise, this fish would definitely have something to say again. So it was better for them to remain silent. In addition, they also secretly blamed the 11th elder. They had clearly given him a look, but who knew that this guy actually didn't understand their meaning? He was really stupid. They glared at the 11th elder in exasperation. The 11th elder, who was glared at, felt a stomach full of grievances. In fact, he didn't say anything, did he? How did she become a mistress? He still didn't understand. Come with me. Seeing that the three of them did not have much of a reaction, Yu directly pointed at the 11th elder and ordered, "Me." The 11th elder was surprised. Nonsense. Who else could it be if not you? The fish said unhappily, but in its heart, it couldn't help but think, this guy is really too stupid, no wonder he can only be a third party. Chapter 1684. The Dream Mirror 3. What is it? The 11th elder's face was filled with vigilance. Come with me. Don't disturb their reunion. The fish said matter-of-factly. I didn't. The 11th elder's face was full of grievance. Why did this fish target him? This was preposterous. However, the 2nd and 7th elders were not happy at all after hearing this, because this meant that the fish had completely recognized their relationship, but they were too lazy to argue with a fish. You still dare to say no? Didn't you notice that after they saw you, their faces all turned very ugly? Don't quibble, my eyesight is very good. I saw everything clearly. The fish roared angrily. It hated mistresses the most in its life, because its former favorite fish was seduced by another fish. So when it saw the little three, it must kill them. However, it could only take this little three to the other side and separate them. The 11th elder was speechless. He felt that no matter how eloquent he was, he couldn't argue with a self-righteous and unreasonable fish, because the fish only believed in his own thoughts and ignored everything else. In this way, even if they had 10,000 reasons in front of them, they were afraid that they wouldn't be able to understand this fish. So he could only respond with silence. Follow me. I'll take you to a good place. Seeing that 11th elder didn't say anything, the fish thought that he had admitted it. Then, it jumped onto Big Rock's body and left the stream with Big Rock carrying it. Behind them, 11th elder followed involuntarily. When they arrived at their destination, Yu pointed to the place in front of them and said to the 11th elder, Old man, you can stay here from now on. It's very quiet here, and no one will disturb you. When the 11th elder heard this, he looked up at his surroundings and his face immediately darkened. What the hell was this place? The surroundings were bare, without even a single blade of grass, but no one was disturbing them. Could this be the good place in the fish's eyes? Then why didn't it stay here? However, what he couldn't understand was why he had followed them here. Old man, you can stay here. We're going back. The fish didn't care about the 11th elder's lack of reaction. After it finished speaking, it was ready to let the big stone take it away. Wait, you're just going to let me stay here? Seeing this, the 11th elder quickly called out. What's wrong? You're not satisfied? It's good enough that a mistress like you can have a place to stay. Don't be so picky. I'm very busy and don't have time for you. You said in an extremely dissatisfied manner. After she finished speaking, she left with the big rock head without looking back. The 11th elder wanted to chase after him, but he realized that he was blocked. This fact made him extremely depressed. Second elder and 7th elder, who were standing in their original spots, saw and Big Rock return with smiles on their faces, but there was no sign of 11th elder. They couldn't help but feel worried. Little where did you take the 11th elder? The 2nd elder bent down and asked softly. Old man, we all know that you can't be half-hearted. You already have this old man, so don't think about other old men. You can get into trouble if you time. You'll regret it then. Yuya's face turned serious as she angrily rebuked. The 2nd elder, who had been scolded, was completely speechless. The 7th elder, on the other hand, explained. Fish. We're family, and our relationship isn't what you think it is. Oh really? Although I'm a fish, I'm not that gullible. So, you can't fool me with your words. The fish said confidently. Its words also meant that the 7th elder's words were in vain. Fish. We're really family. It's not what you're thinking. The 7th elder still refused to give up completely and explained again. Old man, I don't want to hear this anymore. Don't think that I don't know about the complicated feelings of you humans. There are always ambiguous feelings between cousins. Aren't they family? Yu asked back with a smile. This time, the 7th elder was completely out of power and could only obediently shut his mouth. After dealing with the 7th elder, Yu stood on top of the huge rock and said loudly, Everyone, welcome to our home. Here, you will enjoy our home-like service. Each of us will treat you as a family member. So, you don't have to be polite if you need anything. However, even blood brothers settle their accounts clearly. So, you'll have to pay for the extra service. Obviously, the last sentence was the main point it wanted to say. Ugh. When the elders heard the fish's words, they were all speechless. They couldn't help but think to themselves, what a money-grubbing blood-sucking fish. He hadn't even done anything yet, and he was already coveting their money. Sob. This was really too hateful. You guys have fun. The silence of the elders was taken by the fish as consent. After it finished speaking, it jumped off the big stone and went into the stream. Everyone gathered in 2s and 3s and started chatting. This time, Yor did not appear to accuse any of them of being the third party. Therefore, their hearts were all temporarily at ease. After all, they had heard about the incident with the 11th elder. Thanks. After enjoying a few days of rare peace in this strange space, the elders of the Ning family began to probe the elves. They wanted to figure out the situation here too much, and it always made them feel very uneasy. However, after chatting with them for a few days, they had gained nothing, which made them feel a little helpless. On this day, everyone was gathered together to chat as usual when suddenly, a familiar voice rang out. How have you been these past few days? It was that rabbit. Other than the 2nd elder, the other elders were all shocked. They had heard the rabbit's voice again. Didn't that mean that they were still in the illusory sky? However, they had clearly passed the last stage. How did this happen? You must be surprised to see me. The voice was accompanied by a flash of white light, and then the white rabbit appeared in front of everyone. Little rabbit, is this place also under your jurisdiction? The 7th elder asked curiously. You're very smart. The white rabbit was very proud. The 2nd and 3rd realms were inseparable, so naturally, they were closely related to it. Didn't we pass the last level? Why are you still in the illusory sky? The 2nd elder also asked the question that had been buried in his heart for a long time. You've passed the last stage, but it's not over yet. You still have 3 more domains to pass. The little white rabbit laughed evilly and said proudly, a 3-layered domain? All the elders were shocked. In contrast, Fonda and the others were very calm. We didn't say anything about having a 3rd-tier domain. An elder couldn't help but say, Oh, are they being forced by the overlord? The 2nd-tier domain was already so difficult. This 3rd-tier domain would definitely take their little lives. This is not up to you. Anyone who has participated in the trial space will be transported here after passing the trial. So you have to participate whether you want to or not. Otherwise you will stay here forever. The little white rabbit explained in a threatening manner. Hearing its words, the elders were so angry that they wanted to curse. Fuck. When they entered, Lung Ruoxia did not tell them that they could even pass the third-tier domain. What should he do now? They were in a difficult position. Old man, you don't have to be depressed. Actually, the second and third layer domains are inseparable. You'll know when the time comes. The little white rabbit said with a smile. All right. Now you can begin your experience in the 3-layered domain. I wish you all the best. After saying that, the white rabbit laughed again and disappeared on the spot. The elders who were left behind were so depressed that they were about to catch fire. Fengde and the others could only comfort them. Second elder, calm down. Since things had come to this, there was no use in frowning like this. I feel that right now you should be thinking about how to pass these 3 domains. Why are we the ones who want to? Don't you need to think about it? An elder shouted in dissatisfaction. Of course we don't need to think about it. We've always been carefree. No matter where we are, we won't panic like you. So we're not afraid. Fengde said loudly. Fengde's words made quite a number of elders feel ashamed, because they knew that Fengde was right. They were indeed a little uneasy. In addition, the experience of passing the second realm was too deep in their hearts. Therefore, they were afraid before the battle, which was very unfavorable to the trial. The second elder pondered for a long time before slowly opening his mouth. I really need to think about it, eh? The future generations are to be feared. In the next few days, the elders of the Ning family were silent, but Fengde and the others got along very well with the elves in this space. They lived in the realm. During the day, other than cultivating, their spare time was to chat. Furthermore, there was night in the realm. During this time, they would choose to have a good rest. Unconsciously, everyone slowly fell into a deep sleep. However, as they were in their dreams, they did not notice anything and continued to sleep in their dreams. Chapter 1685. The Nightmare Realm, 1. Their dreams were extremely realistic, and it was also the most realistic portrayal of their hearts. Perhaps they would not think about these dusty past events normally, but in their dreams, they had truly experienced it once again. For example, Fengde and the others were originally mercenaries. Later on, by chance, they became Lung Ruoxia's subordinates. What they cared about the most and were most self-conscious about was naturally the time they spent in the bloodshed and passion on the water-edge continent. In the dream, Fengde and the others had lost their lives and shed their blood. There were countless battles every day, and the friendship between companions had also grown in these battles. It gradually occupied the most important position in their hearts. Therefore, in their dreams, they dreamed of unity, friendship, and team spirit, as well as positive thoughts. Their dreams started on the Ling Wind continent, and then they experienced the Haotian continent and the Godly Land. Finally, they had a place in the divine world. The dream played in their minds like a movie. There was laughter, sadness, friendship, love, and family in the dream. All of these were important to them. The things that happened in their dreams had long become a part of their lives. The people in their dreams were the most important people to them. In Lung Qingshan's dream, he returned to the year his son and daughter-in-law passed away. Facing his dead son, daughter-in-law, and 2 young children, his heart was in a dilemma. He wanted to take revenge for his son and daughter-in-law, but he didn't have the chance. This fact made him extremely angry, but as an official he could do nothing about it. After that, he placed all his attention on his child. Unless there was a war, he rarely appeared in public, especially at royal banquets. Lung Ruhan also dreamed of his parents. Even though he was young at that time, he could remember things. Hence, he felt much more deeply about losing his parents than Lung Ruoxia. In addition, his younger sister had always been lacking in intelligence. Hence, all the pressure had been placed on his young shoulders. That was why he had been working hard on his cultivation, hoping that one day he could avenge his parents. His other wish was for his younger sister to get better. When she was young, these were the 2 greatest wishes in Lung Ruhan's heart. However, as he was injured, All the meridians in his body were broken, and he fell from being a genius that everyone looked up to the clouds, becoming a cripple that everyone could step on. He had been in despair and lost, but later, it was his sister who gave him hope and cured his injuries. Only then did he stand in front of the world again, and no longer had to suffer the strange or sympathetic gazes of others. Sister. His sister was the most important person in his heart. When he thought of Lung Ruoxia, Lung Ruhan's eyes flew open, and he became the first person to wake up from his dream. Seeing that Lung Ruhan had woken up in such a short time, the fish and Big Rock, who had been observing their situation at the side, revealed a trace of surprise on their faces. It seemed like this brother of their master was not simple. Feeling the two strange gazes, Lung Ruhan subconsciously raised her head and looked at the fish and the Big Rock not far away. With a face full of question marks, she asked, "What's wrong? Is there something wrong?" Of course it's not right," the fish said mysteriously. "What?" Lung Ruhan was still in a daze. He only felt that he had had a very long dream. In the dream, he thought of many things from the past, and he thought that he had long forgotten about those things. He didn't expect to dream about it. "Were you dreaming just now?" Yu said with a smile. "Thanks, yes." Lung Ruhan nodded her head honestly. It seemed like they could not hide anything from these little fellows. "Actually, there's a reason for you to dream about those things. This is the ability of the three-layered illusionary sky domain. This place is called the Nightmare Realm. The people and beasts in here will involuntarily dream about the things that have been hidden in the depths of their hearts for a long time. Of course, this is not absolute. It mainly depends on what is the most important place in your heart. The things you dream about can be seen as your inner demons. If you can't overcome these inner demons, you will be trapped in a nightmare realm. It'll only be harmful to your cultivation," the fish explained. In addition, the higher a cultivator's strength is, the more things they've experienced, and the more serious their inner demons will be. If the cultivator himself can't overcome these inner demons, sooner or later he'll go into chi deviation. At that time, it'll be too late to overcome these inner demons with his own strength, and no one can help him with things like inner demons. The fish continued. "Then what am I doing?" Lung Ruhan asked in confusion. She had heard of inner demons before, but she did not know if she had passed the test of the nightmare realm since she had woken up so early. "Ha. Of course, you've passed the test. Furthermore, you're the first human to pass the test of our nightmare realm." The fish smiled, but in her heart, she was a little infatuated. A beautiful man is a beautiful man. Even a frown was so beautiful. It found Lung Ruhan extremely pleasing to the eye now. In the past, it had a good relationship with them all because of its master. However, now it was sincerely optimistic about Lung Ruhan and the others. "Are you sure?" Lung Ruhan asked worriedly. Actually, he did not feel like there was any test. In his heart, it was just a dream. Now that he had woken up from the dream, this fish said that he had passed the test. Was it really that simple? "I'm sure." He was very sure. "Actually, your dream is very simple. It's nothing more than wanting to work hard and improve. However, there's an important person in your dream, and that's our master, your sister Lung Ruoxia. The reason why you were able to wake up so quickly was all because you dreamed of her. She gave you a strong will and a tenacious spirit. Master is the most important person in your heart, so why would you be willing to be trapped in a dream and not wake up?" The fish said in understanding. "Schwerer is your master. Does that mean you really exist?" Lung Ruhan gently lifted the palm-sized fish and stroked its cold scales as she asked curiously. Of course we are not real, but in this nightmare realm, we are real. This is our home under our control. That rabbit is our boss. We are just its subordinates." The fish smiled shyly. Although it was genderless, it would still feel embarrassed to be caressed by such a beautiful man. "I see." Lung Ruhan understood. "I wonder when Grandpa and the others will wake up." With that, Lung Ruhan looked worriedly at her grandfather and the rest. "Don't worry. They'll wake up eventually," the fish promised. "Grandpa has a lot on his mind, unlike me who only has two simple wishes," Lung Ruhan said unhurriedly. He could still remember everything that had happened in his dream clearly. so he knew the pain in his grandfather's heart. Chapter 1686. The Nightmare Realm 2. This kind of thing has to be thought through by himself. Outsiders can't help him. Moreover, while his strength is not high now, if he is really invaded by the inner demons, there is still a medicine to save him. Otherwise, when his strength is high, these inner demons in the depths of his heart may invade his cultivation. At that time, no one can save him. You are reminded. This was also the main reason why their master had asked them to come here while they were still weak. As for those old men of the Ning family, they were just there in passing. After all, their strength was too high and they would definitely have a lot of inner demons. Therefore, if they could not wake up on their own, then there would be no cure. I know, Lung Ruhan nodded. How could he not understand what Schwer was thinking? No matter when, Schwer always thought for them. Just like that, Lung Ruhan, who was the first to wake up, stayed in the nightmare realm while waiting for the others to overcome their inner demons. At the same time, she chatted with the elves and occasionally cultivated for a while. As the days passed, under Lung Ruhan's anticipation, Lung Qingtian finally woke up. Grandpa! Lung Ruhan was extremely excited to see her grandfather. She couldn't help but throw herself into Lung Qingshan's arms, just like when she was young. Good child. I've made you worry. After waking up, everything in the dream was still extremely clear. Immediately, the experienced and knowledgeable Lung Qingtian knew that the dream was not as simple as it seemed. Grandpa, it's good that you're awake. Lung Ruhan said, feeling a little embarrassed. After his excitement, he realized that he was still in his grandfather's arms. This made him, who had been an adult for many years, blush. Ha ha. I still have my cute grandsons and granddaughters waiting for me. How can you sleep for so long? Lung Qingtian couldn't help but laugh as he teased his grandson when he saw his grandson's face turn red. Grandpa, I'm not going to talk to you if you keep doing this. Lung Ruhan was so embarrassed that she wished she could find a hole to hide in. All right. I was wrong, you can't ignore me. Although his son and daughter-in-law were no longer around, they had left him with 2 adorable grandsons and granddaughters. He should be satisfied. They still haven't woken up? Then Lung Qingtian turned his gaze to Fengde and the others. He was worried. Fengde and the others were considered his juniors, so he naturally didn't want anything to happen to them. Grandpa, don't worry. It's only the 3rd day. Lung Ruhan consoled him. He had more confidence in Fengde and the others than in his grandfather. After all, Fengde and the others did not have complicated experiences, unlike his grandfather who had lost his loved ones. Although Fengde and the others did not have any family, they had never cared about such things. If they did not have such things, why would they care? Ruhan is right. These little fellows will definitely wake up. Lung Qingtian said confidently. Then he looked at his old friends. He wasn't too worried about these old men, as they were all very smart, and there were very few things that could affect them. However, the one he was most worried about was Lin Liang. Although that guy usually didn't say anything, he had hidden many things in his heart. What Lin Liang was most concerned about was the time when Ruhan lost all her cultivation. He just didn't know if he could overcome this obstacle in his dream. Grandpa, don't worry too much. They've braved so many storms and waves, so they won't capsize in this small river. Lung Ruhan reminded. And Lung Qingtian nodded. This nightmare isn't a small brook. If he wasn't careful, there was really the danger of capsize. However, he had confidence in the people around him. This wouldn't be a problem for them. With her grandfather's company, Lung Ruhan was no longer alone. The 2 of them chatted every day and recalled many things from the past. Those things seemed to have happened yesterday, and were still very clear. However, after they talked about it this time, the 2 of them felt much more relaxed. The past that they had been unwilling to mention would no longer become a burden to them. While they were chatting, they were also paying attention to every move of Fengde and the others. It was only when they woke up from their dreams one by one that their hearts were completely at ease. Fengde, what did you dream of? Lung Ruhan could not help but ask curiously when she saw that Fengde was still smiling when he woke up. When Fengde heard Lung Ruhan's question, he stammered and was a little embarrassed to answer. When he saw Lung Ruhan's expression, A hint of disdain appeared in his watery black eyes as he said, "What else can he dream of?" Of course, he dreamed that he had a wife and a son. And he became a reverent god again. "Thanks, damned little fish. You actually betrayed me." Hearing the fish's words, Fonda was a little angry from embarrassment. He rushed to the fish and was about to teach it a lesson, but who knew that the cunning fish would actually jump away? Seeing this, he quickly caught up. When the other people saw Fonda chasing after a fish, they couldn't help but laugh. "Ah, Captain, your ambitions are quite big. Captain, we're going to follow your example and work hard." Lin Yuan and the others jeered at the side, making Fonda's face turn red with anger, and he chased the fish even more closely. "Big guy, I'm telling the truth. How can you kill the fish to silence me?" The fish said provocatively as it jumped around. "The truth? This is my secret, but you've revealed it to me. Do you even have any professional ethics?" Fonda was very dissatisfied. He had lost all his face. What's the big deal? Humans strive to climb higher, while water flows lower. Which man didn't want to have a wife, children, and a successful career? You don't have to be embarrassed, really. Trust me. You are promised with a serious expression. Trust you? Do you believe in a fish? Fonda was a little speechless. He was not stupid enough to believe the words of a fish. And this fish was a fake fish. Don't look down on fish. Otherwise you'll regret it. The fish warned. Are you threatening me? Fonda raised his eyebrows and said in disbelief. Hee. How would I dare? I'm just telling the truth. A good kid shouldn't bully a fish. You said with a smile. Then can we eat the fish? Fonda roared in anger. You can eat the other fish, but I don't have any meat on my body. Are you sure you want to eat it? Yu asked with an evil smile. After Fonda heard Yu's words, he was stunned and immediately became depressed. This fish could only be considered a virtual image and couldn't be eaten. Thinking of this, he stopped and returned to his original position. The fish saw this and followed after him. What are you following me for? Glancing at the tail that was bouncing around behind him, Fonda said in a bad mood. He was so depressed in his heart. Why was he competing with a fake fish? This fish can't be hit, can't be scolded, and can't be eaten. Chapter 1687, The Nightmare Realm 3. I'm not following you. You go your way, you'll go mine. Let's mind our own business. The fish said matter-of-factly. Fonda was a little angry. He sat on the ground and didn't say anything. The fish sat next to him with its fins. Looking at the man and fish, everyone couldn't help but turn their heads and laugh. Seeing their trembling shoulders, Fonda's anger grew even more. Damn it. Can't you just sit further away from me? We cannot. This is my territory. I can sit wherever I want to. The fish said righteously. All right. You've won. Fonda's face darkened. Suddenly he shouted. Little rabbit. Come out. Quickly send me out. The little white rabbit that heard Fonda's call appeared in front of everyone after a white light flashed. It looked at the naughty fish, then glanced at the depressed Fonda, and said in a serious tone. I'm sorry, Fonda. I can't send you out now. Why? Didn't I pass the test here? Fonda's eyes were wide open as he said in disbelief. He passed the test, but he wasn't allowed to leave. What was this? Now he was deeply experiencing the depressed mood of those Ning family elders. But they haven tea. The little white rabbit pointed at the second elder, and the others who were still in their dreams. What do they have to do with me? Fonda was speechless. He wasn't familiar with those elders. Of course it's related. You came in together to take the test. Although I don't ask you to wait for them to wake up before you can leave together. You can't just leave them here alone. The little white rabbit said with a smile. Then what do you want us to do? Give me a straightforward answer. When can we leave this place? Fonda asked impatiently, but he was so angry in his heart. There wasn't such a requirement when he was in the trial space of the second-level domain. Why did the request change here? Of course, they're asking you to live here for a while. As for when you can leave, it depends on when they wake up. The white rabbit explained. Didn't you say that you wouldn't ask us to wait for them to wake up before we can leave? Fonda couldn't help but ask. It's not a request. However, you must at least wait for half of them to wake up before you can leave. The little white rabbit said innocently. Fuck. What kind of logic is this? We're not even close to them. Why should we stay here to accompany them? Fonda roared in anger. I have no choice. This is the rule of the nightmare realm. The little white rabbit irresponsibly attributed Fonda's dissatisfaction to the rules of the realm. In fact, the nightmare realm did not have such rules, but it did not want Fonda and the others to leave this place too early. It could also be said that it was too bored. With Fonda and the others here, it could chat with them occasionally. If they left now, wouldn't it become a loner again? As for the Ning family's elders, they weren't among the people it wanted to chat with. What it liked to do more was to mess with them. You're not lying to me? Fonda asked doubtfully. Or it could be said that he didn't really believe this cunning little rabbit's words. But he couldn't go to the mist to confirm this matter now. I'm such a cute little rabbit, why would I lie? The rules are the rules, and I can't change them. So you can stay here with peace of mind. Anyway, it doesn't matter where I stay. I won't charge you for it. The little white rabbit said matter-of-factly with a smile on her face. After hearing the white rabbit's words, Fonda and the others were a little speechless. What did she mean by staying there was not staying there? How could this be the same as his own home? He had a comfortable bed at home, but what was there here? In addition, not charging them was not a reason for them to be willing to stay here. Did they have to live here happily just because he didn't charge them? Looking at everyone's depressed expressions, the white rabbit continued. Since you're already here, then take things as they come. Isn't that what you all say the most? So you can just go with the flow and live a good life here. I'll send you out when half of the elders are awake. With that, the white rabbit disappeared in a flash of white light. What do we do now? After the white rabbit disappeared, Fonda asked everyone in the room with a depressed look. Thanks, what other way is there? Of course, I'll adapt to the situation. Lung Ruhan said with a faint smile. The expression on her face was extremely calm. Fonda. You have to learn from the beautiful man. Look at how calm he is. Unlike you who can't hold your temper. In fact, it's for your own good that you're allowed to stay here. At least you'll be able to calm down and your mood won't be so restless. The fish said softly. I know. Fonda said unhappily. After he finished speaking, he walked to a corner and sat down cross-legged with his eyes closed to regulate his breathing. I still need to train. You are looked at Fonda and sighed. However, its words made Lung Ruhan laugh. Why do you speak like an old man, little fish? Lung Ruhan said, amused. I'm just sighing. You are said a little embarrassed. Fish. How long will it take for these elders to wake up? Lung Qingtian asked curiously. I don't know. However, if their inner demons are too strong, it's possible that none of them will wake up. The fish thought for a moment and said. This was definitely not an alarmist talk, but a fact. This was because many of the elders were too ambitious. If they couldn't get past him, there was a high chance that they would never wake up. You can't wake up? That won't do. When Lung Qingtian heard Yu Er's words, he was a little anxious. Those people were all elders of the Ning family. Although many of them were not very likable, if they really did not wake up, how would Schwer explain it to Master Ning? I have no choice. The only person who can help them now is themselves. The fish said in understanding. These Ning family elders had lived for a long time, and had experienced many things. Although many things had been sealed away, many things that they had experienced now were replayed in their dreams, and many of them were things they did not want to touch. However, what made you not know whether to laugh or cry was that a considerable number of elders were most concerned about the fact that they were in debt. In the hearts of those elders, nothing was more important than a debt. In their dreams, a considerable number of them had dreamed that they had sold themselves to repay their debts. From then on, they would work like cows and horses for Lung Ruoxia. Once they paid their debts, they would spend their entire lives without freedom. As for the second elder, he had actually experienced the scene of being swallowed by the fish in his dream. However, at the same time, this scene also jolted him back to reality. It seemed that the threat of the fish still occupied a place in his heart. In fact, if it was any other time, the second elder would not be so weak. It was just that he had just experienced the torture of the trial space not long ago, and his heart was at its weakest. Therefore, in this strange place, the threat of the fish had become a nightmare in his heart. But at the same time, it was also because of the fish that he had woken up. Looking at the second elder's pale face, which was covered in sweat, Lung Qingtian walked to his side and asked with concern, "Second elder, how are you? Are you all right?" "I'm fine," the second elder said with a lingering fear. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. How could he dream of being eaten by a fish? Could it be that what you think in the day is what you dream of at night? Although he had always been curious about how the small fish would eat him, it shouldn't have become a nightmare in his heart, right? He could not understand. The fish, who knew what he was thinking, revealed the secret with a single sentence. "Old man." The inner demons were everywhere. Sometimes, even a small matter can become a hidden demon in the depths of one's heart. The fish warned. After hearing Yu Er's words, the second elder could not help but think deeply. Was it really as simple as an inner demon? He couldn't believe that the little fish had become a demon in his heart. In fact, he suspected that his dream had been tampered with. This was because he clearly remembered that in his dream, he had no ability to resist at all. He could only let the fish swallow him alive, and no one could hear his cry for help. He had to admit that at that moment, he was in despair. The feeling of death was even more shocking than the death he had experienced in the first-tier illusionary sky domain. Now that he thought about it, he still had cold sweat. However, after he woke up, he knew that it was just a test for him, a test for his inner demons. Now that he had woken up, it was enough to prove that he had passed the test. Although he was a little confused about how he had passed the test, it was better than sleeping forever. After thinking about it this way, he couldn't help but worry again. Besides him, no elder of the Ning family had been able to wake up from their dreams, and if they couldn't wake up on their own, he couldn't do anything. Chapter 1688. We'll each pay our own bills. 1. The second elder looked at the other elders of the Ning family worriedly. Seeing this, Yu consoled them considerately. "Old man, don't worry. They'll wake up, but even if they don't, they can't blame anyone. It can only be said that their inner demons are too deep." Although the fish's words sounded like it was comforting, the meaning behind it made the second elder extremely uncomfortable. However, he had no choice but to admit that what the fish said was the truth. If they wanted to overcome their inner demons, it would be very difficult for external forces to have any effect. They could only rely on themselves. In the nightmare realm, the second elder was worried about the heart demons of the other Ning family elders. However, the Ning family elders in the nightmare realm were completely unaware that they were still living in their own dreams in deep waters and suffering. In the dream, the elders of the Ning family, led by the seventh elder, happened to dream of the scene when they had just arrived at the illusionary sky. From the first layer of the illusionary sky, they had once again experienced the unforgettable test of life and death in their dream. The difficult challenge in the second layer of the illusionary sky, as well as the fact that they had been transported to this strange space after successfully passing the challenge, all flashed through their minds rapidly like a movie. However, what left the deepest impression on them were the IOUs. At this time, they didn't know how much debt they owed, but they knew that they couldn't pay it off. After owing a huge debt, they were now Lung Ruoxia's people. In their dreams, they had an endless amount of work to do every day. Furthermore, even a small subordinate of Lung Ruoxia dared to order them around. Lung Ruoxia's beastie also bullied them, especially a pure white fish. It would eat them if something was not to their liking. This had caused a serious trauma to their hearts. Originally, only a portion of the elders were very concerned about this matter. However, later on, for some reason, the elders in the dream actually all became afraid of this matter. They kept repeating the same dream in their dreams, and the same nightmare kept happening every day, which made them feel more stressed. This was reflected in their bodies as well. Each and every one of them was pale, drenched in sweat, and twitching from time to time. The second elder was even more worried. Before the elders woke up, the second elder's heart was in his throat, and he could not calm down. Every day, he was like a headless fly, pacing back and forth in the nightmare realm, making Fengda and the others dizzy. Second elder, calm down. If you keep turning around like this, we'll get dizzy before they wake up. Fengda couldn't take it anymore. I'm worried about them. The second elder roared. I know you're worried about them, but will you be able to help them? Fengda scoffed at the second elder's discomposure. The second elder was left speechless. Old man, calm down. If you can't stay calm, I'll eat you. The fish threatened. Hearing Yu Er's words, the second elder became even more depressed. He was only worried about his family. Was that wrong? And this fish actually threatened him by eating him. It was really too much. However, as someone who lived under someone else's roof, he really didn't dare to provoke this local fish. After all, the bloody and terrifying scene in his dream was still fresh in his memory. Seeing that the second elder had shut his mouth, Yu nodded her head in satisfaction and said, in view of your restlessness, we've decided to send you out in advance after some discussion. What? He could leave in advance? No. I also want to leave early. Before the second elder could react, Fengda, who had heard this, was the first to give in. Thanks, you can't go out early. The fish didn't even lift its eyelids as it indifferently said. Why? If he can go out, why can't I? This is differential treatment. No. I'm not convinced. I'm going to complain to Miss. Fengda roared in anger. I also want to file a complaint. I don't want to go out. The second elder added fuel to the fire. One of you wants to leave but can't, so you're making a complaint. The other wants to leave but can't, so you're making a complaint. It's rare that you're so united. However, I want to tell you that since you're in the nightmare realm, you have to listen to us. Whoever we tell you to leave, must leave. Even if you find master, he won't care. The fish said confidently. After listening to the fish's words, Fengda and the second elder looked at each other with a rare tacit understanding. Although they were both skeptical of the fish's words, if the fish was not confident in this matter, it should not be so confident. Thinking of this, the two of them fell silent for the time being. However, the fish did not give the second elder the chance to think. With a flash of white light, the second elder was sent out of the nightmare realm. When the second elder came back to his senses, he realized that he was already standing outside his house. Seeing this scene, he quickly ran towards the Lung family's main residence opposite his own. After knocking on the door of the main residence, second elder saw Lung Ruoxue as he wished. In the living room, the second elder said directly, little girl, I want to go back to that nightmare realm or whatever. Quickly send me back. Second elder, you've passed the test and come out, so it's impossible for you to go back. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Why? The second elder was puzzled. The Fantasy Sky's second and third realms are inseparable. If you want to return to the nightmare realm, you'll have to go through the 10 stages of the second realm. Furthermore, if you want to go through the stages again, the difficulty will be 10 to 100 times higher. Not only that, you'll have to go through the nightmare realm again. Lung Ruoxue explained with a smile. You're not lying to me? The second elder looked at Lung Ruoxue suspiciously. Second elder, I can't wait for you to challenge the trial again. This way, I can sell quite a lot of my pills. Lung Ruoxue replied with a smile. Even though Lung Ruoxue's words sounded realistic, second elder knew that she was speaking the truth. If he were to attempt the levels again, he would have to consume a lot of pills. The amount of pills he had on hand was far from enough, so he had to buy them from Lung Ruoxue. At the thought of this, he gave up on the idea of returning to the nightmare realm. It was not that he was unwilling to part with the money, nor was he disloyal. It was just that he would not be of much help even if he returned to the nightmare realm. It seemed that he could only stay outside and worry. Seeing that second elder had made a wise decision, Lung Ruoxue smiled and said, Second elder, I understand how you feel, but they have to rely on themselves for this kind of thing. Besides, aren't Fengda and the others still inside? They will take good care of the other elders for you. The second elder nodded and thought to himself, since things have come to this, we can only do this. Chapter 1689. We'll each pay separately too. Lung Ruoxua settled second elder, but Fengda, who was still in the nightmare realm, was extremely depressed. Second elder had already left, and he couldn't even see the young lad's face. He had thought that the second elder would seek out his lady and request to return after leaving, but after waiting for a few days, he still did not see the second elder. As such, he became extremely dejected. Seeing Fengda sitting on the big rock dejectedly, Yu jumped in front of him and said with a smile, "Fengda, I've already gotten him out of here. Now, there's no one else in front of you. You should be happy." "Why should I be happy? I'm the one who wants to get out." "It wasn't him." Fengda was a little angry as he roared, "Fuck! What the hell is this?" Those who wanted to go out couldn't, but those who didn't want to go out were sent out. "But you can't go out now," and I saw that he was too restless, so I made an exception and sent him out. Yu explained with an aggrieved expression. "I can't stay calm either. You can make an exception and send me out too." Fengda quickly said, "No. Even if you're as restless as him and are running around like a headless fly, I can't send you out. We're on the same side after all. Hee. Of course, we have to take care of our own people." The fish said matter-of-factly. The fish's words made Fengda so angry that he gritted his teeth. At that moment, he really wanted to cook and eat the fish. However, the fish ignored Fengda's anger. Instead, it opened its watery black eyes and stared at him. At this moment, an elder woke up. An old man has woken up?" the fish asked in surprise. The one who woke up was the seventh elder. At this time, he was still a little dazed after just opening his eyes, and his mind was in a mess. But very quickly, he remembered everything that had happened in the dream, and instantly, he broke out in a cold sweat. "Get away from me. Don't come any closer." The seventh elder, who had inadvertently lowered his head, saw the fish that had unknowingly jumped to his side and shouted in shock, "Old man, don't be afraid. You're just having a dream." When Yu saw this, he smiled evilly and comforted her. It seemed that the old man was quite frightened. Dreaming. The seventh elder's mind was clearly not as clear as the second elder's, and he was not as calm as the second elder when he woke up. In addition, everything in the dream was so real, so he did not realize that he had just been dreaming. Was it really just a dream? So he wasn't eaten by this fish? The last part of his dream was exactly the same as the second elder's. He was scared awake after being buried in the fish's stomach. However, it was a good thing that he was scared awake. Otherwise, if he had been disheartened by death, he would probably never wake up again, and would really be eaten by the fish. Yup. You're dreaming, and this is part of the test. You've passed it. Yu explained with a smile. It seemed that not everyone's mind was that clear. Among the Ning family's elders, only that old man was smart. It secretly evaluated in its heart. "I passed the test." The seventh elder was shocked and couldn't help but ask, "Can you tell me what the test is?" No matter how he thought about it, he still felt that something was wrong. This dream was really too strange. "It's your inner demons." The fish chuckled. "Inner demons?" Hearing this, the seventh elder turned to look at the other elders, only to see that they were still in deep sleep with no signs of waking up. Moreover, they were in a very sorry state from head to toe, as if they had just experienced a great battle, which was a shocking sight. Thanks, he looked around but did not see the second elder, who had the highest cultivation among the elders. His heart sank and he could not help but ask, "Where's the second elder? Why isn't he here?" "Don't worry. Your sweetheart passed the test earlier than you, so I've already sent him out," Yu said with a "don't worry" expression. Upon hearing Yu's words of comfort, Lung Qingtian and the others could not help but lower their heads and laugh. Even the depressed Fengda laughed. However, seventh elder's mood did not improve. "The second elder is not my sweetheart." The seventh elder glared at him and said through gritted teeth, Did you have a change of heart so quickly? Speak. Who was that mistress? Is it that old man from that day?" The fish said with rich imagination. It didn't give the seventh elder a chance to explain and continued, "Fuck. I hate mistresses the most in my life. I'm going to find that old man to settle the score." After saying that, it hopped away, leaving behind the dumbfounded seventh elder, Fengda. and the others who were trying to hold back their laughter. Looking at the seventh elder's old face that was flushed with anger, Feng De and the others could not help but laugh wildly. Ha ha ha! The seventh elder. Calm down. That fish will never change its mind, so just admit it. Everyone consoled him. I admit it. What am I going to admit? It's obviously hallucinating, and you still want me to recognize it? The seventh elder was a little angry from embarrassment. These hateful guys, not only did they not help him, but they also watched the show. It was really infuriating. What else can we do? Can you explain it clearly to a fish? Feng De held back his laughter as he looked at the poor seventh elder. His mood was much better now. AI. When the seventh elder heard this, he immediately became dejected. It seemed difficult to reason with a fish that only knew what was in its mind. Oh right. Did second elder really go out? The seventh elder asked worriedly. In fact, he didn't believe the fish's words. I wanted to go out, but the fish wouldn't let me. It only sent second elder out. Feng De said. As long as he thought of this, he would feel depressed. Will second elder be sent to another place by them? The seventh elder asked doubtfully. I don't think so. There are only 3 domains in the fantasy sky, and this is the last one. He must have gone out. Feng De said with certainty. That's good. Hearing Feng De's words, the seventh elder finally felt relieved. I wonder when we'll be able to leave here. Feng De sighed. He was the one who wanted to go out the most, so why didn't they let him go? This was really too much. Can't we get out? The seventh elder couldn't help but ask after hearing Feng De's complaint. That rabbit said that we can only go out when at least half of the Ning family's elders wake up. Otherwise, we can only stay here and accompany them. Feng De explained. Oh. Then now. The seventh elder looked at the other elders who were in a deep sleep. He could not help but stop halfway through his sentence. Including you, only 2 of the Ning family's elders have woken up, Feng De said gloomily. Chapter 1690. We'll each pay our own bill 3. That? They will wake up. They just need time. The seventh elder didn't know how to comfort Feng De. After all, it was because the elders of the Ning family had not woken up, so Feng De and the others were trapped here. He couldn't help but feel a little guilty. I know. Feng De was helpless. In this situation, he had to wait. Just as the 2 of them were chatting, a shrill scream suddenly rang out in the space. Arg! Help me! The voice was very familiar to the 7th elder, because it was the voice of the 11th elder. Is 11th elder calling for help? Feng De couldn't help but ask after hearing the voice. Yes. The 7th elder said as he wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. At this moment, he really didn't know what to say. Hearing this voice, the 11th elder was probably in deep waters. Poor 11th elder. How could that fish recognize him as the third party? Feng De was really curious. The current situation was most likely the fish punishing the mistress. I don't know either. The 7th elder was speechless. Then he stood up and said, No. I have to go and take a look. Wait. I suggest you don't go. If you go now, I'm afraid it will only make the fish even more angry. So you'd better stay here. Don't add oil to the fire. Seeing this, Feng De quickly pulled the 7th elder back. 7th elder, what Feng De said makes sense. You can't go there now. Lung Qingtian also advised. After being with the fish for so long, they more or less understood its habits. If the 7th elder went over now, the 11th elder would be even more unlucky. If things went wrong, even the 7th elder might be caught. Alright then. The 7th elder unwillingly returned to his seat. However, the occasional screams of the 11th elder made him feel as if he was sitting on pins and needles. After a long time, the 11th elder finally stopped calling out, and Yuer returned satisfied. Little Yuer, did 11th elder also pass the test? Lung Qingtian asked curiously when he saw the fish. No, I didn't. He hadn't accepted the test yet. The place he's in right now can't be tested. You said with a faint smile. So you don't plan to let him take the test? Lung Qingtian continued to ask. Of course, he has to accept the test. However, it's not now. I don't want him to ruin the relationship between these two old men. Therefore, I can only isolate him. The fish pointed at the seventh elder with its fin. Oh, you really are a good child. He has a sense of justice. Lung Qingshan's face was full of black lines, but he still braced himself to praise her. That's natural. I've always abhorred evil. Yu was getting a little smug from the praise, while the seventh elder's expression was getting uglier and uglier. He felt like crying but had no tears in his heart. When would he be able to clear his name? Let me out! Let me out! The 11th elder suddenly shouted. Shut up! The fish roared impatiently. Then with a flash of white light, it disappeared. In the blink of an eye, the 11th elder stopped screaming. If it can teleport, why does it jump every time? Fonda looked at the disappearing fish and said with a puzzled face, maybe it likes this. Lung Qingtian guessed. It was just like how they used their godly skills to defeat their enemies, but they preferred to use their fists. They enjoyed the feeling of their fists hitting the flesh, and listening to the bang-bang sounds made their hearts feel especially refreshed. Which one do you like? The white light flashed again, and the fish returned. Moreover, he happened to overhear their conversation. We said that you can teleport, but you like to jump. That's what you like. Lung Qingtian said with a smile. It really is. Yuer agreed without the slightest bit of anger. Little Yuer, why do you like to jump? Lung Qingshan's face was filled with curiosity. I like it. There's nothing urgent. The fish said matter-of-factly. It's really like that. This is your territory, and everything is within your control. Of course you should do whatever you want. Lung Qingtian said. Master Grandpa's words really hit the nail on the head. You also flattered Lung Qingtian. Thanks Then, the man and the fish looked at each other and smiled. However, in the eyes of the others, their expressions were a little abnormal. Especially Lung Ruhan, who could not help but widen her eyes and look at her grandfather in disbelief. She thought to herself, is that half-grown old man who is smiling foolishly really my grandfather? However, he only dared to think about it in his heart. He definitely didn't dare to ask. Otherwise, his grandfather would definitely be furious. Time passed. After the seventh elder woke up from his dream, several other elders woke up one after another. However, when they woke up, their condition was obviously not as good as the seventh elder's. They were completely dumbfounded, and did not have any reaction for a long time. After a long time, their first sentence was, I didn't die? Every time he saw the reaction of these elders, the seventh elder would have a resentful look on his face and said in a bad mood, Nonsense. Of course you're not dead. Although his tone was a bit bad, seeing the elders he was familiar with wake up safely, the seventh elder was still very happy. However, only a small part of the Ning family elders had woken up, and nearly 2/3 of them were still asleep. This fact made him quite depressed. Ever since the elders had woken up one by one, the seventh elder's main task every day was to carefully observe the condition of the other elders who were still sleeping. His gaze was placed on those elders who were sleeping almost all day. Once he had time, he would stare at them without blinking, afraid that something would happen to them. Just like that, the days passed by. The number of Ning family elders who had woken up was increasing, and more than half of them had already woken up. However, the white rabbit did not appear, and the fish did not mention anything about sending them out of this place. Seeing this, Fonda couldn't help but ask, Rabbit, come out. One day, Fonda finally exploded. A white light flashed, and a white rabbit appeared in front of Fonda, yawning. It said with a displeased look, What is it? It's so late at night, can't we talk about it during the day? Can you send us out now? Fonda said directly. Do you really want to get out that badly? The little white rabbit asked in surprise. Of course. We've been here for a long time. Fonda gritted his teeth and couldn't take it anymore. But there are still elders who haven't woken up. Are you not going to wait for them? The little white rabbit said innocently. Didn't you say that as long as half of the Ning family's elder awakens, we can go out? Fonda asked. That's right. If you want to go out now, I can send you out. But after you go out, they're still here taking the test. Can you feel at ease? The little white rabbit asked calmly. Little rabbit, what do you mean? Are you going to let us out or not? Fonda had run out of patience. He didn't want to play tongue twisters with a rabbit. Of course I'll keep my promise and let you all out. However, there are still people who are undergoing the test. If you leave them here, aren't you a little disloyal? The little white rabbit said with a smile. You. Fonda finally understood the white rabbit's meaning. The damned rabbit just wanted them to be loyal and continue to stay here with the sleeping elders. Although he really wanted to say that the life and death of those elders had nothing to do with him. If he really dared to say that, the rabbit would definitely have something else to say for him. Therefore, after thinking for a while, he obediently closed his mouth. If any of you want to leave, tell me. I'll make the arrangements. Seeing that Fonda had fallen silent, the white rabbit spoke to the others who were still conscious. However, no one dared to respond to its words, because they were afraid that it would accuse them of being disloyal. So they had no choice but to continue staying in the nightmare realm. After an unknown period of time, the elders who were still in deep sleep finally woke up, just as they came back to their senses and figured out the truth of the matter. The fish told them a cruel truth. That was their annual usage fee in this space had expired. All the elders were dumbfounded. That fish. Do we have to pay too? The seventh elder blinked his eyes and couldn't believe what he had just heard. He didn't hear wrong, did he? They had to pay again? Of course. Although our friendship is not bad, that is a different matter. The usage fee and our friendship are two different things. We can't mix them up. The fish said very seriously. But we've already passed the test, haven't we? The seventh elder could not help but ask. You're right, but you haven't left this place. You have to pay for the entire day here, so don't even think about reneging on your debt. At the mention of money, the fish had a tendency to turn hostile. Actually, I know that you're all staying here to guard them out of loyalty. So logically speaking, your expenses should be paid by them. You can discuss it properly. Let me know when you've come to an agreement on who will pay the money. However, what I want to say is that your time is limited. In 2 days, the third year will begin. If you haven't left this place by then, you'll have to pay an additional year's worth of money. Of course, you can also pay by the day, but the fee for the day will be higher. Immediately after, Yuer reminded him with a smile. When the elders heard this, their faces turned green with anger. He was really a blood-sucking fish. They only know how to exploit their money. The elders suppressed their anger and looked at each other. Then they said in unison, "We'll each pay our own bills." They couldn't stay here for another day. Chapter 1691. You saw through me one. All right. Then please write me an IOU. Yu laughed in a very pleased manner. Immediately after, a pen and paper appeared in front of each elder. Seeing this, the elders could only suppress their anger and write down another IOU. After writing the IOU, an elder asked impatiently, "Can we go out now?" "Yes. Don't worry. I'll send you out now," Yu said with a smile, clearly quite satisfied with their cooperation. "Wait. I want to ask you a question before I go out." At this time, another elder spoke. "What's the problem?" The fish was a little curious. It thought that the elders should have finished asking all their questions. "You asked us to pay, but did they?" The elder pointed at Fonda and the others. "They didn't hand it in. What's wrong?" You are asked with a puzzled expression. "Why can they not hand it over?" The elder roared with jealousy. "Isn't it obvious? They're our own people, and we don't charge our own people." The fish said matter-of-factly, and its words also angered the elder who raised the question. If it was not for the seventh elder holding on tightly to the elder would have gone berserk. Can you release the 11th elder and let him come out with us?" The seventh elder wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and changed the topic. "No. He can't leave yet. He hasn't passed the Nightmare Realms test, so he has to stay here," the fish said, leaving no room for discussion. "When will he come out?" After the seventh elder finished asking, he felt that he had asked a very stupid question. After he passes the test, he can naturally leave this place. Although the seventh elder's question seemed a little idiotic to the fish, it still answered very seriously with a responsible attitude for its customers. All right. If there are no other questions, I will send you out now. The fish said. What about the 19th elder? The seventh elder couldn't help but ask. That old man isn't under my jurisdiction. He hasn't even passed the trial space yet. I probably won't be able to get out in this lifetime. The fish said honestly. Then you are please take care of the 11th and 19th elders. The seventh elder said helplessly. I'll take care of it if I can, but I can't possibly go easy on you. You said with absolute certainty. Then I'll thank you or first. Although he didn't get the satisfactory answer he wanted, the seventh elder didn't dare to throw away the proper etiquette. Ha ha ha. You're too polite, old man. However, before I leave, I still have something to tell you. You must be single-hearted, you can't be half-hearted, you can't be two-timing, and you can't eat what's in the bowl while looking at what's in the pot. So, when you get out, you should live well with that old man. As for this one here, don't think about it anymore. The fish said earnestly. Its words made the seventh elder extremely depressed. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. Why did this fish still remember this? Seeing that it hadn't mentioned it for so long, he thought it had forgotten. Only now did he know that she still remembered. Sigh. He sighed heavily. In this period of time, the number of times he sighed was more than all the times he had sighed in his entire life. How did this happen? He really couldn't understand it. However, although Yu Er's words made the seventh elder very depressed, it was like a joke to Fengda and the others. However, they were embarrassed to laugh too obviously because of the seventh elder. Thanks seeing how everyone was trying to hold back their laughter, the seventh elder sighed heavily. Ai. His brows were so tightly knitted that they were about to come together. Hee. I'll send you guys out. At this time, Yu said with a smirk. A white light flashed in front of everyone's eyes, and in the next second, they had already appeared outside the Ning family's main residence. Seeing the familiar environment, the elders felt a huge weight lift off their shoulders. They thought to themselves, that's good. They had not been teleported to any other place. They had finally returned. Although they had not lived here for a long time, they felt a sense of familiarity here, especially after the torture they had experienced in the illusory sky. This place was so familiar that they almost cried. To be honest, they had never felt so deeply about the Ning family's residence. Just as all the elders were lost in their thoughts, the Lung family's main residence's door suddenly opened. Lung Ruoxue and the demon walked out together. Grandpa, brother. Lung Ruoxue said happily with a smile. Shui, Grandpa has missed you so much. After Lung Qingtian finished speaking, he pulled his precious granddaughter into his arms. However, before he could get enough of her, the granddaughter in his arms was snatched away by his grandson. You little brat. You're actually snatching her away from Grandpa. Lung Qingtian glared at Lung Ruhan, his face full of dissatisfaction. Grandpa, I also miss my little sister. Lung Ruhan laughed nonchalantly as he hugged Lung Ruoxue even tighter. Although the evildoer beside him was glaring at him, he ignored him completely. Swear is mine. The demon was burning with jealousy. He snatched Lung Ruoxue from Lung Ruhan's arms and hugged her tightly. Seeing his nervous look, Lung Qingtian and the others could not help but laugh. Haha. She's my granddaughter. Lung Qingtian laughed. She's my sister. Lung Ruhan added. So what? Swear is mine. The demon was like a child whose toy was about to be taken away, protecting his food. Freak. When she saw the demon's expression, Lung Ruoxue actually felt embarrassed. Haha. This time, everyone laughed even more happily. You guys are finally out. Suddenly, the second elder's voice rang in everyone's ears. Everyone turned around in unison and saw the second elder's excited face, his eyes burning as he looked at everyone. Why was this old man so excited? Fengda and the others were very confused. It was reasonable for him to be excited when he saw the Ning family elders come out of the illusory sky unscathed, but why was he excited when he saw them? This fact made them feel a little overwhelmed. Second elder. When the seventh elder saw the second elder, His eyes were also filled with tears. When everyone saw him like this, they actually thought that if Yu was here, they were afraid that he would misunderstand their relationship again. It's good that you're out. It's good that you're out. The second elder looked at them and touched them. Seeing that they were safe and sound, he could finally put his heart at ease. Why hasn't the 11th elder come out yet? The second elder couldn't help but worry when he didn't see the 11th elder in the group of elders. Second elder. Before we came out, you were told the 7th elder to live a good life with you and not to think about the 11th elder. You can't cross two boats with one foot. It's wrong to eat in the bowl while looking at the pot. Fonda replied with an evil smile. Chapter 1692. You saw through me too? After hearing Fonda's words, the second elder's forehead was filled with black lines. He felt even more depressed in his heart. The 11th elder was his brother. My condolences, elder. Fonda patted the second elder's shoulder and said with sympathy, what's there to mourn? The second elder didn't react for a moment and asked in a daze. Don't keep thinking about the 11th elder, just treat it as if he doesn't exist. Fonda explained more clearly. He's my brother. He's a member of the Ning family, and he's not dead. How can we pretend that he doesn't exist? The second elder was so angry that his eyes were wide open as he roared. But the fish has already determined that you and the 7th elder are a couple, so. Fonda did not finish his sentence, but he knew that the second elder would understand. It can't come out, so what's the matter? The second elder said disapprovingly. The 11th elder can't come out either. Don't forget that the old man is in the hands of the fish. Fonda couldn't help but remind him. Ai. The second elder sighed helplessly. He felt even more depressed. Little girl, what do you think we should do about this? The second elder's gaze turned towards Lung Ruoxia as he asked with a face full of anticipation. Second elder. I can't do anything about this. Let's wait for the 11th elder to come out. Lung Ruoxia said with a smile. Isn't that something you refined? How can you not have a way? The second elder asked in disbelief. It's true that I made the fantasy sky, but everything there was set in advance. As the master, I can't change the settings for someone. If you change your mind like this, the space managers there will lose their way. Lung Ruoxia said seriously. Is there no other way? The second elder said, unwilling to give up. Unless the 11th elder passes the test of the nightmare realm, there's no other way. Lung Ruoxia understood. What about the 19th elder? What about him? The second elder then asked about the other elder who was more unlucky. He's the same. Although Xiaobai wants to keep him inside. If the 19th elder can pass the trial space and the test of the nightmare realm, he can still come out. Otherwise, it's really possible that he'll be trapped inside for the rest of his life, just like Xiaobai said. Lung Ruoxia said with a hint of sympathy. Second elder. You don't have to worry about those two old men. They'll only suffer a bit of torture inside, suffering a bit of physical pain. There shouldn't be any life-threatening danger. Of course, if they can't pass the test of the nightmare realm, then it'll be another matter. Fonda consoled. Then he turned to Lung Ruoxia and said, Miss, I'm going to go into seclusion for a few days. I should be breaking through soon. And Lung Ruoxia nodded. Miss, I'm also going into seclusion. Swear. Grandfather also needs to go into seclusion. With Fonda's lead, Lung Qingtian and the others began to speak one after another. All of them had only one purpose, and that was to go into seclusion. Their cultivation had made great progress in the illusionary sky. Although they had not really made a breakthrough, they were not far from it. Moreover, they had also touched the barrier of a breakthrough. However, they did not have the conditions to make a breakthrough in the illusionary sky, nor could they feel the laws of heaven and earth. Therefore, they had waited until they came out of there before they decided to go into seclusion and prepare for a breakthrough. Grandpa, then all of you can go back to your rooms and cultivate in seclusion. When Lung Ruoxia heard this, she hurriedly urged. Good. Then let's go into seclusion for a while. After we break through, we'll have a good chat. Lung Qingtian said impatiently. He was the first to rush into the room, followed by the others. Thanks, seeing that her grandfather and the rest had left, Lung Ruoxue smiled at the seventh elder and the rest. All the elders must be tired. Go back to your rooms and have a good rest. Amen. Then we'll go back to our room first. The seventh elder said. They were indeed a little tired, mainly because the pressure during this period of time was too great. Now they finally had a chance to catch their breath. Lung Ruoxue nodded and watched as the elders went into their respective houses. Only then did she pull the evildoer back into the courtyard. However, after entering the courtyard, Lung Ruoxue realized that there seemed to be someone missing. She did not seem to have seen Chengxian. Freak! Did you see Chengxian? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously. I saw it. The demon nodded, but he was laughing in his heart. He liked it when Shuer didn't notice the existence of other men. Hee. Where is he? Lung Ruoxue asked speechlessly. Was it because Chengxian was too unremarkable? Or was it because she had bad eyesight? She didn't see Chengxian. Him. He's hiding among Fengda and the others. The demon chuckled. Oh, Lung Ruoxue responded softly, and stopped paying attention to Chengxian's whereabouts. A month later, Fengda and the others all became god-tier masters as they wished. Lung Ruoxue was elated to see that their cultivation was above hers. She joked. You can protect me when you're stronger than me. Don't worry, miss. We'll definitely protect you. Fengda was the first to express his opinion. It's our responsibility to protect miss. Lin Yuan and the rest also echoed. Then I'll be relying on you guys in the future. Lung Ruoxue smiled and played along. Miss, you don't need their protection. The four of us will be enough. At this time, Grape also said confidently. During this period of quiet cultivation, she and Lotus Seed had reaped great harvests. The two of them were now at the Divine Lord realm. This was something they did not even dare to imagine in the past. After being together with the young lady, their cultivation speed was like a rocket, soaring rapidly. There's no need to snatch. I need both. Lung Ruoxue smiled and tried to smooth things over. Seeing how Fengda and Grape were at daggers drawn, she was really afraid that they would start a fight. Fengda and the others laughed foolishly. Miss, let's have a good celebration today. Yuqing said happily. The current her was already a divine emperor. This was naturally due to her master's previous advancement. Good. You guys go and prepare. With Lung Ruoxue's order, Fengda and the rest immediately took action. After a while, everyone quickly prepared the food, and Fengda personally went to invite the second elder and the others, planning to celebrate with them. In the garden, Fengda and the rest were singing and dancing happily. However, Chengxian was hiding by his feet alone. When Lung Ruoxue caught a glimpse of him, she pulled the evildoer along and walked towards Chengxian. Young Master Cheng, congratulations on advancing to the Divine Emperor realm. Lung Ruoxue chuckled. Thank you, Chengxian said indifferently, his expression extremely lonely. Chapter 1693. You saw through me 3. Seeing him like this, Lung Ruoxue was even more puzzled. What was wrong with Chengxian? Wasn't advancing to the Divine Emperor realm enough to make him happy? What happened that she didn't know about? As far as she knew, Chengxian had been staying in the Nightmare Realm with Fengda and the others all this time. Nothing should have happened, right? Fengda and the others would not bully him. Young Master Cheng, do you have something on your mind? Lung Ruoxue guessed. Great aunt. Thank you. Chengxian said without thinking. For what? Lung Ruoxue was getting more and more confused. Thank you for reminding me of the past. I thought I had forgotten about it. Chengxian's handsome face had a touch of sadness, and he was surrounded by a deep sense of loneliness. Since it's an unhappy matter, don't think about it anymore. Lung Ruoxue sighed softly and consoled him. She understood what Chengxian was saying. He must have recalled some bad memories when he was in the Nightmare Realm. However, the fact that he was able to wake up from those memories was enough to show that he had already let go. Otherwise, those memories would have become his inner demons. And Chengxian nodded. There were some things that he didn't need to think about, but there were some people that he didn't want to let go of. But those people. Great aunt. What would you do if someone in your family hurt the most important person to you? Cheng Xian couldn't help but ask. This matter had been buried in his heart for a long time. Now that he suddenly remembered it, he realized that he couldn't continue to be so muddled. Some things had to be solved sooner or later. However, he was very conflicted because those people were his enemies and his family. How important is it? What kind of family members did they have? Leng Ruoxue asked after some thought. Like parents. Cheng Xian hesitated for a moment before saying, if someone hurts my parents, I will not let the enemy off, no matter who he is. Leng Ruoxue replied without hesitation. What if the enemy is also your family, and they're very closely related? Cheng Xian continued to ask. Then we can't let him go. No matter what reason he has, he can't hurt someone else's parents, not to mention a blood relative. This kind of behavior is even more shameful. Leng Ruoxue said with a look of disdain. If I kill my own family to avenge my parents, will I be spurned by the world? Cheng Xian couldn't help but ask. There will definitely be people who disagree. However, why should we care so much about what others think? It's enough to live freely. Leng Ruoxue said disapprovingly. From her point of view, not avenging one's parents' deaths by clinging onto one's bloodline was the greatest unfilial act towards one's parents. Furthermore, not all family members were good and worthy of being treated with sincerity. To those cruel and unscrupulous relatives, they could not be measured by kinship. For a family like ours, I'm afraid it's very difficult to live as we please. Cheng Xian sighed. Whether you can't do it or not will depend on your understanding. Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. I know. Cheng Xian nodded. As the young master of the Cheng family, he had a lot of responsibilities. Hence, even though he wanted to live a carefree life like Leng Ruoxue, as long as he was the young master of the Cheng family, he would not be able to do so. Cheng Xian. You've all broken through, so you should celebrate. Don't think about those unhappy things from the past. Go and have fun with them. Leng Ruoxue reminded him. When she said this, she felt like she was Cheng Xian's elder. It was a weird feeling. Great aunt. Thank you. In an instant, Cheng Xian seemed to have recovered his usual personality of wanting the world to be in chaos as he spoke passionately. You're welcome. After all, you call me great aunt. Leng Ruoxue laughed lightly as she teased. After hearing this, Cheng Xian's forehead was filled with black lines, and the corner of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. Actually, the reason why he called Leng Ruoxue a great aunt was purely for fun. He didn't really want to call her that. After all, Leng Ruoxue was much younger than him. Ha ha. Seeing Cheng Xian's depressed expression, Leng Ruoxue laughed happily. Then she pulled the evildoer back to her room. The next day, when the two of them walked out of the room, they saw that more than half of the people in the garden were drunk. Leng Ruoxue's face was filled with black lines when she saw this scene. He couldn't get drunk after drinking a little wine. Fortunately, they were at home. If they were outside, wouldn't they be in danger? At the thought of this, Leng Ruoxue decided to give them a good lesson. She pulled the evildoer to sit down on a stone chair in the courtyard. They ate snacks and drank tea while waiting for them to wake up. It was almost evening when the drunk people slowly woke up. However, when they woke up, their minds were not very clear and their eyes were in a daze. It was only when they saw Leng Ruoxue, who was not far away, that they suddenly woke up. They were drunk again. Thanks, miss. Fengda and the rest quickly got up from the ground and walked to Leng Ruoxue like a little wife, calling out softly. And Leng Ruoxue replied indifferently and did not have any other reaction after that. Miss, we were wrong. Fengda and the others said pitifully. What did you do wrong? Leng Ruoxue asked, pretending not to know anything. We shouldn't be so drunk that we're unconscious. Fengda and the rest replied honestly. Looking at the expressionless Leng Ruoxue, their hearts trembled. Since you know, why did you get drunk? This isn't the first time, right? Leng Ruoxue said with a smile. We were too happy, so we couldn't help but drink too much. Fengda and the others explained. I can't help it. Fortunately, we're at home, so even if you're drunk, you won't be in any danger. If we're outside and you're drunk like this, who can you cry to when you lose your little lives? Lung Ruoxia's tone changed and became stern. We're not outside, right? Before Fengda and the others dared to speak, an elder who had a good time drinking with them yesterday couldn't help but plead. Even if you're at home, you should have some self-discipline. Otherwise, once you're outside, it's easy to lose control of your emotions. If you cause trouble, it'll be too late for you to regret it. Besides, it's not that you're not allowed to drink, but I hope you can keep a clear head while drinking. After all, you're not ordinary people who don't cultivate. As cultivators, you can encounter danger at any time, so you must always be on guard. Even if you're at home, you shouldn't be too indulgent. You should know that not all relatives are good. There are also some who can stab you in the back. Lung Ruoxia said earnestly. She was not only saying this to Fengda and the rest, but also to Cheng Xian and the elders of the Ning family. Her words made Fengda and the others feel extremely ashamed, while Cheng Xian and the elders of the Ning family were deep in thought, because no one knew better than them that sometimes relatives were more shameless and vicious than outsiders. It's not that I want to teach you a lesson. Other than my family, you're the most important people to me, so I hope that you'll be on guard at all times. After all, the divine realm is not as beautiful as we think. I really hope that one day, you'll be able to stand at the peak of the divine realm with me. I don't want to see any of you in danger of losing your lives. Lung Ruoxia asked seriously after seeing that they were all silent. Miss, we won't leave you. We'll always be by your side. The future of the divine realm will definitely be ours. Fengda and the others suddenly roared with an imposing manner. Even the Ning family elders who heard this felt their aura rise. A wave of hot blood boiled in their blood. In an instant, they seemed to have become a few hundred years younger. Remember your words today. Lung Ruoxia nodded in satisfaction. Don't worry, miss. In the future, we won't get drunk casually, even if we're happy. Furthermore, even if we drink too much, we must find the way back to our room. We will never sleep in the garden again. Fengda promised. However, his promise made Lung Ruoxia laugh. Not to find the door to the room, but to keep a clear mind. Lung Ruoxia didn't know whether to laugh or cry as she corrected him. Yes. Fengda and the others quickly nodded. All right. Don't stand here anymore. Go back to your rooms and rest. Lung Ruoxia could not bear to see them so listless and drunk. Miss, then let's go back to our room and have a good sleep. When we're completely awake, we'll come to see you, Fengda said with a fawning smile. Go. Lung Ruoxia nodded. After watching Fengda and the rest leave, Lung Ruoxia turned around and looked at the Ning family elder who was still standing at the same spot. She could not help but ask curiously, why are you guys still here? Well, leave immediately. The second elder said with an embarrassed look. They were lost in their thoughts and didn't react for a moment. After saying that, the second elder led the other elders back to their own residence. Shui, the second elder, and the others seemed to be afraid of you. After the Ning family's elders also left, the demon laughed and teased. Afraid of me? I didn't do anything to them. Why would they be afraid of me? Lung Ruoxia asked with a puzzled look. Maybe it's because you're too charming. The demon wiped the cold sweat off his forehead and thought to himself. You haven't done anything to them yet? They've been tormented to death by you. Are you saying in your heart that I've tormented them a lot? Lung Ruoxia saw the expression on the demon's face and knew what he was thinking. Hee, you've seen through me. The demon laughed awkwardly. Chapter 1694. The Arrival of Wind and Rain 1. Didn't I tell you that I can read minds? However, I don't need to read your mind to know what you were thinking. Lung Ruoxia laughed lightly as she teased. This only shows that our hearts are connected. The demon said proudly. Look at how beautiful you are. Lung Ruoxia was speechless. I'm proud, I'm proud. The demon said with a thick face. Just as the two of them were teasing each other, there was a sudden rush of knocking on the door, followed by the sound of anxious footsteps heading towards the garden. Miss Lung. A slightly hoarse voice suddenly sounded. Ningyan, what are you doing here? Lung Ruoxia sized up the uninvited guest. and saw that Ning Yan's body was covered in dust and his face was haggard. What was going on? She was filled with doubts. Cultivators usually paid a lot of attention to their appearance, and very few cultivators would be so slovenly. Her impression of Ning Yan was that he was a person who paid a lot of attention to his appearance, so she really couldn't guess what was wrong with him. Miss Lung, something has happened, Ning Yan said anxiously. He even coughed a few times after he finished speaking. What happened? Don't be anxious, speak slowly. Lung Ruoxua gestured for Grape to pour a glass of water for Ning Yan. The master and some of our Ning family's elders have all gone missing, Ning Yan said with a pained expression. Missing? How did Godfather go missing? With Godfather's strength, there are very few people in the divine realm who can be his match. After listening to Ning Yan's words, Lung Ruoxua still asked calmly. After all, in her impression, her godfather was not an irresponsible person who would cause others to worry. So, she would never believe that Godfather would disappear for no reason. I don't want to believe that the patriarch and some of the elders have gone missing either, but we can't contact them no matter how hard we try. Furthermore, some of the elders have already died and their jade plates of life have been shattered. If it wasn't for that, I'm afraid that we wouldn't have discovered the disappearance of the patriarch and the others. Ning Yan explained. Godfather wouldn't have disappeared for no reason. Did he disappear in the Ning family, or go somewhere else? Lung Ruoxua asked again. The master took some of the Ning family's elders to a newly discovered secret realm. If I'm not mistaken, they should have disappeared there. Ning Yan replied. A secret realm? What secret realm? Lung Ruoxia's face was filled with suspicion. Whenever she heard the term secret realm, she would have a bad feeling. That secret realm is newly discovered. Only a few people know about it now. Only the higher-ups of the 8 divine regions and the headquarters know about it. Therefore, it's extremely confidential. Ning Yan continued. Then how did you guys find out? Lung Ruoxua was very curious. This secret realm was first discovered by the One family. Then they informed the 8 divine regions and the headquarters. After that, the people from the 8 divine regions and the headquarters came to an agreement to explore the secret realm together. Ning Yan said helplessly. In fact, before they went to the mystery land, the Ning family had 2 opinions. One was in favor of it, and the other was naturally against it. After all, an unknown mystery land was very dangerous. However, after considering that they would be going with the powerhouses from the 8 great divine regions, and that the 2 largest and most powerful headquarters in the divine realm, the craftsman's headquarters and the alchemist's headquarters, would also send people, they reached a unified opinion. However, they did not expect that something would happen in the end. Would the One family be so kind? Lung Ruoxua squinted her beautiful eyes as she asked in confusion. Thanks, since the One family dared to tell this to the higher-ups of the 8 great divine domains and the headquarters, they probably wouldn't dare to lie. Otherwise, they would definitely become the public enemy of the divine realm, and have no place to stand in the divine realm. Ning Yan said with absolute certainty. This was also the main reason why those who knew about the secret realm dared to trust the One family. So you're saying that the disappearance of Godfather and the Ning family's elders was an accident? Lung Ruoxua raised her brows and asked indifferently. It's an undiscovered secret realm. Unless it's someone who has been there personally, we don't know what's there. So, we can only regard the disappearance of the family head and the others as an accident. Ning Yan sighed. Ning Yan, do you still remember the Snowy Mountain secret realm a few years ago? It's also a secret realm that has never been discovered by anyone, but the accident there was man-made. Lung Ruoxua reminded. Miss Lung, do you mean that this accident was also man-made? Ning Yan's eyes were wide open, and he couldn't believe it. A few years ago, he had stayed behind to guard the Ning family's secret realm, and didn't participate in it personally, but he had heard about it. However, those who were tricked into the secret realm were all cultivators with low cultivation, but this time, almost all the strong cultivators in the divine world had gone, including many alchemists and alchemists from the Alchemist Guild headquarters. With such strength, it would not be easy to cause a man-made accident, right? I'm not sure if it's a man-made accident, but as long as I hear the word secret realm, I have an uncomfortable feeling. I keep feeling that this secret realm that appeared out of nowhere is not that simple. Most importantly, she didn't trust the One family head. Perhaps Godfather and the rest thought that the One family head wouldn't dare to lie to them. Or perhaps they were too confident in their own abilities, and decided to explore the mystic realm with him without fear even if they were deceived. But no matter which one it was, she didn't agree with it. Miss Lung, the master once suspected that this secret realm was not as simple as it seemed, but, before Ning Yan could finish his sentence, Lung Ruoxua interrupted him. But he still went, right? Does Godfather think that with his strength, he's not afraid even if there's danger, and that self-protection is not a problem? Lung Ruoxua said. Yes. Ning Yan said in a low voice. Miss Lung had guessed it right. It seemed that Miss Lung really understood the master. The head elder of the Craftsmen's Guild also went. Lung Ruoxua asked with a smile. Yes. Basically, all the patriarchs of the 8 great divine domains have gone. The various headquarters have also sent quite a number of people. The Armament Guild is personally led by the Great Elder. Ning Yan said. In this case, Godfather is even less afraid of any conspiracies. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so at ease to follow them. Lung Ruoxua sighed. Yes. Furthermore, the Patriarch has also taken away some of the elders. Ning Yan nodded. You just said that some of the elders have already died? Lung Ruoxua said after some thought. 2 of the elders have already met with mishaps. Ning Yan said with a pained expression. How strong are the 2 elders? Lung Ruoxua asked again. Among the elders that the Patriarch brought with him, they are the weakest. Ning Yan replied honestly, even though he did not quite understand why Lung Ruoxua asked him this. It seems that there are only 2 possibilities. One is that they have encountered real danger and everyone's situation is very critical. The other is that they may have encountered danger, but it is not enough to immediately kill them. They are just trapped inside. As for the elders who died, if they were not killed by the enemy, then they are trying to send you a message. But we cannot rule out that this is the enemy's plot. Lung Ruoxua analyzed. No matter what their goal was, the Ning family already knew that someone had died. Hence, the Ning family would definitely try their best to find out the truth or send people to the secret realm. If the other party wanted to use this method to attract more people to go there, it had to be said that they had achieved their goal. Chapter 1695. The Arrival of Wind and Rain 2. Miss Lung. What do we do now? After listening to Lung Ruoxua's analysis, Ning Yan was even more worried. What's your Ning family's decision? Lung Ruoxua did not answer and asked instead. Although she was worried about her godfather's whereabouts, he was still the ancestor of the Ning family. The elders of the Ning family might not be willing to let her get involved in this matter. Who asked her to have such strength? How could the Ning family trust her? The Elders Guild has decided to send another group of people to the secret realm. Ning Yan said honestly. Oh, Ning Yan, you're the one who came to me on your own accord, aren't you? Lung Ruoxua said. The young master and I both had the same idea, and the acting master agreed. However, the other people in the Ning family didn't agree, so I sneaked out. Ning Yan said, a little embarrassed. Even you have to sneak out? Who's in charge of the Ning family now? Lung Ruoxua asked in confusion. As far as she knew, although Ning Yan was the chief butler of the Ning family's forbidden area, his status in the Ning family was not lower than those elders. Other than the 10 great elders of the Ning family, the other elders had to be polite to him. After all, he was a favorite of the old ancestor. No matter who you offended, you could never offend him. It's the 3rd elder. Ning Yan told him the truth. The 3rd elder? Wasn't that old man always in seclusion? When did you come out? Lung Ruoxua couldn't help but ask. The Ning family had a total of 10 elders with extraordinary status. The Great Elder often went deep into the mountains and forests, and his shadow was almost never seen in the Ning family. Thus, the Ning family's elder council had always been dominated by the 2nd elder. However, ever since the 2nd elder was dismissed from his position as an elder by Godfather, the elder council had become a group of dragons without a leader. Godfather had also handed him, the seventh elder, and the rest to her, so the number of elders in the Ning family's elder council was even pitifully small. As for the other 10 great elders, except for the great elder who was in some unknown corner, the others were all in seclusion in the forbidden area, including the third elder. But unexpectedly, this old man had come out of seclusion now and even took charge of the Ning family's affairs. Even the acting master and the young master of the Ning family had been thrown aside by him. This was not a good sign. As she had never seen third elder before, Lung Ruoxue could not comment on his intentions. However, it was still a little inappropriate for the Elders Guild to interfere in the daily affairs of the Ning family on behalf of the acting family master and the young master. If it was used by someone with ulterior motives, it was very likely that third elder had the intention to replace them. This was very detrimental to the unity of a huge family. The third elder has already come out of seclusion. If I'm not wrong, someone must have informed him that something has happened to the family. Otherwise, he wouldn't have ended his seclusion for no reason. Ning Yin guessed. So he's very much in favor of sending people to the secret realm? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. He was the one who insisted on sending more people to the secret realm. He said that we can't let the Ning family die without knowing why, and we can't let the master go missing. Ning Yin confessed. Oh, apart from the Ning family's elders who died, did anyone else from the other families die? Lung Ruoxue asked the question she was most concerned about. An elder from the Chung family died as well. As for whether the other families and the headquarters have lost anyone, I didn't hear about it when I came to the godly mainland. Ning Yan said. Oh, Lung Ruoxue nodded, then fell into deep thought. Although some people had died in the Snowy Mountain secret realm a few years ago, they were much weaker than this time. Among the elders who had died, the weakest was probably a divine emperor. From this, one could imagine the danger of this secret realm. Thanks, although she didn't know what the third elder was thinking, if it was her, she wouldn't have sent anyone. After all, even her godfather was trapped in there. No matter how many people went, it would just be a meat bun hitting a dog. There would be no return. Therefore, it was not a wise decision to send more people to the secret realm. Ning Yan, thank you for your hard work. I'll have someone take you to your room to get some rest. We'll discuss this later. All right. Ning Yan nodded and left the garden with Lotus. After Ning Yan had left, Lung Ruoxue turned her gaze to the evildoer and asked, Demon, what do you think of this? Shui, do you want to hear the truth? The demon asked with a faint smile. Of course. Lung Ruoxue pretended to be unhappy as she pouted her pink lips. She was trying to keep him in suspense. She didn't want to hear the truth, but did she want to hear lies? Shui, how could a mystic realm be discovered so easily? A true secret realm is a gift from nature, and is formed naturally. A secret realm cannot be considered a true secret realm without hundreds of thousands of years, or even longer. The demon said softly. In just a few years, a secret realm was discovered on the divine continent. Now another secret realm has appeared in the divine realm. If secret realms can be discovered so frequently, wouldn't they become huge radishes? The demon added. So you also suspect that there's something wrong with this mystic realm? Lung Ruoxue laughed. It's not a problem, but a big problem. The demon said with absolute certainty. Now he was a little angry with that old man from the Ning family. He relied on his own strength to ignore the danger, and even made Shui worry for him. This was preposterous. When he found that old man, he had to teach him a good lesson. Otherwise, it would be hard to dispel the anger in his heart. AI. We know that there's a problem, but we can't not go. Who asked Godfather to be inside? I can't just leave him alone. Lung Ruoxue said pitifully. Her beautiful eyes would steal glances at the evildoer from time to time, observing the expression on his face. Do you really think he'll stop you? Although I really don't want you to take the risk, I know you well. If I don't let you go, you might secretly run away behind my back. In that case, I might as well go with you. With me here, I can also protect you. The demon said helplessly, his expression full of love. He understood Shui and knew that she valued family very much. Although that old man was only a godfather, he truly loved Shui, and Shui also treated him as a real family member. How could Shui not save her family member when she was in trouble? If Shui didn't have the universal bracelet, he might not be so at ease. However, with the bracelet, no matter what kind of danger she was in, Shui would not be in too much danger. If she really encountered a situation that she couldn't handle, she could just hide in the bracelet and no one would be able to find her. Freak. You're so good. You have to protect me well. After hearing the demon's words, Lung Ruoxue took the initiative to throw herself into his arms and acted coquettishly. Her initiative made the demon extremely pleased. The demon hugged Shui tightly in satisfaction and couldn't help but sigh. The benefits that satisfied Shui were really good. In the future, he would have to do more of these things to please Shui. This way his benefits would roll in. Chapter 1696. The Arrival of Wind and Rain 3. After the two of them came to an agreement, Lung Ruoxue gathered everyone in the living room the next day to discuss the matter. In the living room, the Ning family's elders looked at Lung Ruoxue in confusion. They did not know why she had called them over. However, if Lung Ruoxue didn't speak, they wouldn't take the initiative to ask either. Hence, the atmosphere turned heavy. After a long while, only then did Lung Ruoxue slowly open her mouth. Actually, she had not said anything all this while because she did not know how to tell them about this. Something has happened to the Ning family. Lung Ruoxue said softly. After she finished speaking, her beautiful eyes were fixed on the elders present, observing their reactions. What? Can you repeat that? The elders' expressions changed drastically, thinking that they had heard wrong. The Ning family is in trouble. The whereabouts of Godfather and the others are unknown. And the Ning family has lost 2 elders. Lung Ruoxue repeated. This time she was even more clear. This is impossible. The old ancestor rarely had any opponents in the immortal realm, so it was absolutely impossible for him to go missing. Don't tease us. How can you joke about this? The second elder roared in anger. He was so agitated that his face was flushed red. However, he would not believe Lung Ruoxue's words. I'm not joking. It's true. Ningyan said it himself, unless you doubt his words. Lung Ruoxue pulled a long face and said unhappily. It wasn't April Fool's Day today, so why did she have the mood to make fun of these old men? Miss Lung is not joking. At this moment, Ningyan walked in and heard their conversation. He quickly said, Ningyan, what are you doing here? You. The second elder became even more excited when he saw Ningyan. However, he didn't dare to ask any more questions, because he was afraid that he would hear bad news from Ningyan's mouth. This could be considered a lie to himself. Second elder, something big has happened in the Ning family. The master and the others have gone missing, and 2 elders have died. I've come to inform you of this news. Ningyan explained, his face still looking haggard. So this matter is true? How did this happen? The second elder's face turned pale after hearing this. Seeing this, Ningyan repeated what he had said to Lung Ruoxue the day before to the other elders. After the elders heard this, they were silent for a long time. After a long time, the second elder spoke with a trembling voice. Master. No. The head of the family and the elders will be fine. Right. With the master around, they would be fine. Isn't the jade plate of life of the master still in good condition? They'll be safe and sound. Some of the elders who had also suffered a blow quickly echoed after hearing the second elder's words. Master. You can't let anything happen to you. All of a sudden, an elder started wailing. The other elders who were holding on had their eyes reddened as well. Tears were already welling up in their eyes. All of you calm down. Now that Godfather is only missing, who are you trying to show by looking like you've just fainted? Lung Ruoxue couldn't stand it any longer and shouted angrily. Nothing had really happened to Godfather yet, and they were already like a group of dragons without a leader. This was really infuriating. Moreover, she had asked them to come here to discuss some matters, not to see them cry and shout. Lung Ruoxue's words made many elders so ashamed that they wished they could find a hole to hide in. Even though they wanted to calm down and not embarrass themselves, this was because the family had meant a lot to them. Aside from being the ancestor of the Ning family, the master of the Ning family was also the pillar and backbone of the Ning family. They simply couldn't imagine what the Ning family would be like without their ancestor. Therefore, when they first heard that their ancestor had gone missing, the only feeling they had was fear. I called you here to discuss how to deal with this matter. Now, the third elder of the Ning family is in charge, and he has already decided to send people to explore the secret realm. I want to hear your opinions. When Lung Ruoxue saw that they were slowly calming down, she finally revealed her main motive. Go. We also want to go to the secret realm. We must save the patriarch and the other elders. The moment Lung Ruoxue finished speaking, an elder immediately spoke up. Thanks, Save Godfather. Can you guys do it? Lung Ruoxue said with a face full of disdain. The moment she heard this, she knew that this was someone who didn't have his own opinions. His mind wasn't clear enough either. To put it bluntly, this was someone who liked to cause a ruckus and follow the crowd. Why not us? Even the weakest among us is a divine emperor. If even we can't save the patriarch, the others won't stand a chance. That person said, extremely unconvinced. But Godfather's strength is above all of you. He also went missing in the secret realm. If you go, won't you also be sending yourselves to your deaths? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful face was filled with mockery. If you're all trapped inside, then the Ning family really has no hope. Is this the result you want to see? Or is it not enough that you've seen Godfather go missing, and you want to anger him to death? Lung Ruoxue added without holding back. Then what do you suggest we do? The elder who spoke was a little angry. Fuck. He couldn't go, and he could not go either. Wouldn't this put him in a difficult position? Little girl, do you have any good ideas? The second elder asked as he looked at Lung Ruoxue expectantly. Second elder. Do you also have the same thoughts as the third elder and want to personally explore the secret realm? Lung Ruoxue retorted. I do have that idea, but as you said, our strength is not as strong as the patriarch's, and he has gone missing in there. If we go in too, it will be the same as giving it to him for free. That's why I can't make a decision now. The second elder said honestly. Second elder. Since you want to hear my suggestion, then I'll tell you. My opinion is that none of you should go there. Lung Ruoxue suggested. As for whether these people would accept her suggestion or not, it was not up to her to decide. Not going. Then what can we do? We can't just stand by and watch our clansmen get into trouble, can we? The second elder said worriedly. No one knows what happened to the secret realm. No one knows whether the elder who died committed suicide or was killed. However, no matter what the reason is, the Ning family can't panic. So, at this time, you should stay in the family to prevent the enemy from taking advantage of the situation. Lung Ruoxue said calmly. You mean this could be a conspiracy? The second elder immediately understood what was going on after hearing Lung Ruoxue's words. However, if what Lung Ruoxue said was true and this was a plot against the Ning family or all the top forces in the divinity, then the person who planned this must be very ambitious. I can't be sure if it's a conspiracy, but I wonder if Second Elder still remembers the Snowy Mountain secret realm from a few years ago. Back then, many families and forces on the godly mainland were involved. It was a conspiracy. Lung Ruoxue reminded. I've heard about that too, but we still haven't found the mastermind, right? Could the person behind these two secret realms be the same person? He remembered clearly that the master had attached great importance to that matter. Even after returning to the Ning family, his face was very ugly. Although they really wanted to know what had happened to make the master lose his composure, no one dared to ask. I'm just suspecting, I'm not sure. Lung Ruoxue sighed softly. If the person behind these two mystic realms was really the same person, then what was his objective? Second Elder. If the person behind these two secret realms is really the same person, then all the more you can't go there. Think about it, even Godfather can't do anything about that secret realm. What's the use of you going there? To put it bluntly, if Godfather can protect himself, you guys will only drag him down if you go. After some thought, Lung Ruoxue said in an impolite manner, But if we don't do anything and just wait at home, we'll go crazy from worry. The second elder said with a conflicted expression. You're not just waiting at home. You're guarding the Ning family's base, understand? Lung Ruoxue corrected him. I understand. However, they still had to send some people to explore the mystic realm, right? Otherwise, we won't be able to rest easy. The second elder said softly. When he said this, it was obvious that he did not have much confidence. Second elder. If news could be transmitted in the secret realm, Godfather and the others wouldn't have disappeared for no reason. So I think it's useless even if you send people there. On the contrary, it will cause more Ning family members to be trapped inside. Thus, the best way is for you to be patient and plan before you act. Lung Ruoxue said with a hint of disappointment. Moreover, it's not like no one has gone to the secret realm to explore it. Lung Ruoxue laughed. Didn't you say that we're not allowed to go? The second elder was confused. Chapter 1697. The third elder, 1. I don't want you guys to go, but I didn't say I wasn't going. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. After hearing Lung Ruoxue's words, all the elders' expressions turned ugly. There were even some elders who couldn't help but curse in their hearts. You don't want us to go, but you want to go by yourself. Do you think that your abilities are above us? However, even though they were slightly dissatisfied, no one would suspect that Lung Ruoxue wanted to keep the secret of the mystic realm for herself, which was why she didn't allow them to go. This was because they knew very well that Lung Ruoxue was not that kind of person. Even though they had not known each other for long, just based on the fact that Lung Ruoxue was able to create such a miraculous item like the fantasy sky, she was not a simple character. Furthermore, she was richer than any of the elders present. Oh, they still owed Lung Ruoxue a huge debt. Little girl, it's not that I'm looking down on you, but if you go to the mystic realm with your strength, then you won't be able to, the second elder said, a little embarrassed. In fact, what he wanted to say wasn't that the same as throwing your life away? However, after stammering for a long time, he couldn't bring himself to say the words, go and die. Second elder. My strength may not be as good as yours, but I have a way to save my life and I can guarantee that I can retreat safely in the secret realm. Do you dare to say that? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. The second elder wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. They really did not dare to say that. However, he was still a little worried. He was very clear about Lung Ruoxue's position in the family head's heart. If something happened to Lung Ruoxue, because she went to the mystic realm, wouldn't the family head swallow them alive when he came back and found out? In addition, they had so many deity emperors and reverent gods, yet they allowed a little girl with deity strength to take such a risk. If word of this got out, where would they put their faces? Second elder. No one is more suitable than me to go to that secret realm. Lung Ruoxue took one look at the expressions on the elders' faces and knew what they were thinking. However, this was only human nature. After all, she was weak. It was only natural that they didn't believe him. Little girl, we don't know how dangerous that secret realm is. If something happens to you in there, how are we going to explain it to the family head? The second elder said, still worried. I don't need you to explain. Godfather knows me better than you. Lung Ruoxue said with confidence. Then, what do we need to do? The second elder could tell that Lung Ruoxue had made up her mind. Furthermore, after being with her for so long, he was very clear that Lung Ruoxue was a person of her word. Since she had already decided on something, she wouldn't change her mind easily. Since that was the case, he and the rest of them would help her do something. At the very least, they would feel better. I do need your help with something. Lung Ruoxue said with satisfaction. This old man, second elder, was so understanding. She should reward him. If you need any help, little girl, just tell us. We will do our best. The second elder quickly said. Second elder's words represent all the elders present? Lung Ruoxue wanted to confirm. And the second elder's sharp gaze swept across the elders present. Then he nodded and said, very good. In fact, What I want you to do is very simple. That is to object to the third elder sending people to explore the mystery realm again. No matter what method you use, you must stop him. Don't let him add to my troubles. Lung Ruoxua said very seriously. Her serious and cautious tone caused the elders' hearts to shiver. This time, they were all clear that Lung Ruoxua wasn't joking. She really didn't want the Ning family to send anyone. Since the little girl has said so, then I will do everything I can to stop him. Don't worry. The second elder promised. Then he'll leave it to you guys. Lung Ruoxua nodded. Little girl, when are we going back to the divine realm? The second elder asked again. Tomorrow, Lung Ruoxua said after some thought. Thanks good. I'll take them back to their rooms to discuss a strategy. We'll meet at the door tomorrow morning. The second elder said. After he finished speaking, he left the hall with the other elders. The next morning, Lung Ruoxua and the rest were ready to set off when the sun had just risen. They sat on the flying beast, and soon arrived at the teleportation array to the divine realm. After paying the teleportation fee, they were standing on the land of the divine realm in a short time. It was the first time Lung Qingtian and the others had come to the divine world, so they were very curious about it. However, everywhere they looked was a vast expanse of white, and their interest was immediately reduced. Ha ha! The morning fog of the divine realm has yet to disperse. Thus, you guys are still unable to see much of the scenery. Seeing Lung Qingtian and the others' troubled and depressed expressions, the second elder knew what they were thinking and could not help but laugh. The morning mist? Lung Qingtian and the others had question marks on their faces. Yup. The mornings in the divine realm are always like this. It'll be fine in a while. The second elder explained with a smile. Oh, Lung Qingtian and the others nodded in understanding. However, they didn't expect that the so-called a while would actually take them until noon. Because of the hierarch's lead, they would have already arrived at the Ning family's divine territory by then. Although they didn't see the beautiful scenery, they continued on their way without stopping due to the urgency of the matter. The second elder brought them along with a teleportation. After a few hours, they arrived at the Ning family's god domain. Wah! A reverent god's speed was indeed different. If we were to fly, it would probably take at least 3 to 5 days. Feng Die's eyes were shining as he stood outside the Ning family's divine domain city gates. He looked at the second elder with envy. However, the second elder was already so tired that he was out of breath. He didn't have the mood to care about Fengda. If he wasn't afraid that he wouldn't be able to stop the third elder and the others from going to the secret realm in time, he wouldn't have made such a sacrifice. It should be known that such a long journey of teleportation consumed a lot of divine power and physical strength. Lung Ruoxua rolled her eyes at Fengda, then looked at the second elder, who was sitting cross-legged on the ground, panting heavily and regulating his breathing. She took out a bottle of divine power replenishing pills and passed it to the second elder. However, the second elder was very careful and did not dare to reach out to take it. I don't have any money. The second elder swallowed his saliva with envy and said in embarrassment. This is for you. When Lung Ruoxua heard second elder's words, she wiped away the cold sweat on her forehead and said in a speechless manner. For me? Hee. How can I accept that? The second elder beamed with joy. He snatched the bottle of pills from Lung Ruoxua's hand and kept it in his storage ring. I say, old man, you should eat one. You're so weak right now. You don't want us to carry you, do you? Fengda couldn't help but ask when he saw the second elder's miser-like appearance. I don't need you to carry me. I'll be fine after resting for a while, so I don't need to take any pills. The second elder said hurriedly. There were no enemies now, so how could he casually eat medicinal pills? Furthermore, the pills that Lung Ruoxua had taken out were all good stuff. Even when compared to elixirs of the same grade, the quality was obviously much higher. Hence he was naturally reluctant to eat it. Furthermore, when he held the bottle of elixirs in his hand, he could feel the surging spiritual energy. From that, he concluded that the bottle of elixirs Lung Ruoxua gave him was of a higher quality than the elixirs she had sold them. It would be strange if he was willing to eat it. Chapter 1698. The third elder, too, second elder. Why did I only realize today that you're a miser? Fongda spoke his mind, and the second elder's face immediately turned red. Ehe. And being thrifty. You guys have to learn from me. The second elder said shamelessly. What the second elder said makes sense. Since we're advocating for a contract, then we won't eat pills as food anymore. Fongda nodded in agreement. What? Taking medicinal pills for food? You bunch of wastrels. Hearing this, the second elder was so angry that he immediately jumped up from the ground and chased after Fongda, wanting to beat him up. However, Fongda was as agile as a loach, and the second elder could not catch him at all. Miss. Look at second elder's lively appearance now. I think he should have rested enough. We can continue on our way. Fongda ran to Lung Ruoxia's back and spoke loudly to her in a voice that everyone could hear. Fongda's words made the second elder stop in his tracks involuntarily. Had he fallen for this kid's trick? However, he was indeed tired. This was not an act. When he thought of this, he could not help but look at Lung Ruoxia pitifully. That pitiful expression seemed to be saying, I'm really tired. He wasn't pretending. Second elder. If we've rested enough, let's continue our journey. Lung Ruoxia held back her laughter and ignored second elder's aggrieved gaze as she spoke in a serious tone. Oh, then let's go. The second elder was too embarrassed to say it, so he let himself rest for a while. Sob. It was all his fault for being too lively just now. If he said he was tired again, no one would believe him. Then let's go. Lung Ruoxia didn't stand on ceremony. Who asked her to rush to the Ning family as soon as possible. Therefore he had no choice but to let the second elder suffer. And the second elder nodded gloomily. Then he led the group into the Ning family's divine territory. After a few more teleportations in the Ning family's divine territory, Lung Ruoxia and the rest arrived at the Ning family's main city in the evening. However, they did not enter the main residence directly. Instead, they went to look for Ning Hai. When Ning Hai saw Lung Ruoxia and the others, he was pleasantly surprised. However, when he saw the Ning family elders behind Lung Ruoxia, he immediately became restrained. After all, these elders of the Ning family were second only to the family head in terms of seniority. They were also considered old ancestor level. Little brat. This is differential treatment. You're so enthusiastic when you see this little girl, but you immediately change your attitude when you see us. So what if you don't welcome us? Seeing Ning Hai's reaction, the second elder started to argue with him. How would I dare to not welcome the elders? I was just too surprised. Ning Hai wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and quickly explained. However, he couldn't help but feel worried. What was wrong with the second elder? Had he been replaced? One had to know that the second elder in his heart was not someone who would say such words. What are you surprised about? Don't think I don't know what you're thinking. You just think we're troublesome and want to shut us out, don't you? The second elder cursed and did not let him off. Now he looked like a little kid who could not get candy. Not only was Ning Hai speechless, but even the elders behind him were shocked and sweating. The second elder. You're mistaken. How could I have such an idea? I'm really too surprised. I didn't expect that all the elders would come to my house. Ning Hai continued to explain with a bitter smile. At the same time, he cast a pleading look at Lung Ruoxia. What's with the If you're still there, I'll throw you into the river to feed the fish. The second elder suddenly exploded in anger. However, when he said this, he felt particularly good in his heart. Thanks. As soon as he finished speaking, the elders behind him broke out in cold sweat. Now they could all see that the second elder had been possessed by the fish. Otherwise he would not have said such words. However, Ning Hai did not know about this origin, so the second elder's words made him unable to come back to his senses. When he came back to his senses, he felt extremely aggrieved. He didn't do anything. Why did she have to feed him to the fish? When Lung Ruoxia heard their conversation, she was already laughing in her heart. It seems like the second elder had suffered quite a bit in the nightmare realm. Now, she had actually discovered this evil fire on Big Brother Ning's body. However, seeing the second elder's appearance, She felt that it was quite interesting. This kind of second elder looked much more amiable. Big brother Ning. How's the Ning family now? Lung Ruoxue changed the topic and asked, helping the depressed Ning Hai out of his predicament. The Ning family? Nothing happened? Everything is normal. Although Ning Hai didn't understand why Lung Ruoxue would ask this, he still answered truthfully. Oh, Lung Ruoxue nodded and thought to herself. Most likely, apart from the higher-ups of the Ning family, no one else knows about Godfather and the others. But this is good. At least they won't be worried. In fact, she asked this question because she wanted to know if the news had spread. Now it seems that the Ning family has done a good job of keeping it a secret. Otherwise, Ningyan wouldn't have needed to sneak out of the Ning family to look for me. Ruoxue, did something happen? Ning Hai still asked worriedly. It's nothing. It's just that I haven't been to the Ning family for too long, so I wanted to see if you had any small tricks here, so that I can be mentally prepared. Lung Ruoxue said with a smile. Oh, Ning Hai nodded. Although he was a little suspicious of Lung Ruoxue's words, he could not find any loopholes in her words, so he could only believe her. Big brother Ning would like to stay the night at your house and go to the main house tomorrow morning. You want not welcome us, will you? Lung Ruoxue asked with a smile. Hehe. I can't ask for more. How can I not welcome you? Ning Hai quickly said and looked at Lung Ruoxue with some hidden resentment. This little girl was actually treating him like an outsider. That's good. Lung Ruoxue said, pretending to be at ease. Then Ning Hai arranged rooms for everyone, but he was called by the second elder. Until the next morning, when they left, Ning Hai did not appear. Second elder, what did you do to Ning Hai? Lung Ruoxue asked curiously as they were walking on the streets of the Ning family's main city. Damn girl, what do you mean by what did I do to Ning Hai? Do you think I'm going to eat him? I only told him to cultivate properly, and gave him a mission to not leave the room until he reaches the God King level. The second elder said disapprovingly. You let big brother Ning cultivate in his room? Lung Ruoxue's beautiful eyes widened as she asked in disbelief. What's going on in the room? The spiritual energy in our Ning clan's capital is incomparable to the outside world. Even if he only cultivates in his room, it's a matter of twice the effort with half the results. Moreover, he'll reach God King very soon. Once he becomes a God King, he'll naturally think of a way to arrange for him to enter seclusion in the forbidden area. But now is not the time. The second elder said honestly. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.